Chapter 2351. It's not too late to make amends. Plus, as strong as Lin Yi is, he might not be able to pass the test. Old Zhao waved his hand and smiled. According to my deductions, Lin Yi isn't weak, but the Sky Elixir sect has a lot of masters. If they sent their masters, wouldn't they be stronger than Lin Yi? If they sent their own masters to collect the items themselves, wouldn't that be easier? Why would they waste so much and use a third-level pill as a reward? That's true, then why? Guanyin nodded, confused. I think it's because in the test one's strength is negligible. The danger they face isn't determined by strength. For example, in front of a legendary Heavenly Tao Master, Mystic Earth and even Sky classes, in their eyes they're all ants. Old Zhao said. So, I think that as long as there's danger in the test, no matter how strong you are, you won't be able to escape. Those who escape by luck, it's not because they're strong but because they're lucky. That's my deduction. That makes sense. Zhao Guanyin nodded. No wonder they limited the number of participants to between Mystic class and Earth class. I'm afraid it's because even the most powerful trial takers wouldn't be of much use. This year, the Heavenly Elixir sect lifted the limit, probably because they really need this kind of thing, so they had to increase the number of participants. Yes, so Lin Yi and Qikun might very well die together. Old Zhao said. But it's better to be safe than sorry. What if they come back? Zhao Qikun gets the third-level pill and I promised him that he could become an elder of the house. This would be a threat to Qibing's position. If I'm alive, I can keep it under control, but there's the possibility that after 100 years, Zhao Qikun's strength will increase by leaps and bounds with Lin Yi's help. At that point, Qibing would be in danger. Then what do we do? Qibing's face changed. If Zhao Qikun really came back, then his position in the house would skyrocket. His position would be threatened. So before that, we have to do something, Old Zhao said. Old Zhao said. If we can kill Lin Yi before the test, then Zhao Qikun will die for sure. Before the trial? Kill Lin Yi? How could that be? If our Zhao family had that kind of power, we would have made a move long ago. Why would we wait until now? Zhao Guanyin asked curiously. Is Grandpa going to do it himself? Qibing paused. I naturally won't make a move. Old Master Zhao shook his head. Is that the hidden house you? Right, is the hidden house you about to make a move? Guanyin sighed and thought of this possibility. I did call Elder Yu, but his attitude was ambiguous. I don't know what he wants. I don't think it's possible for him to help. Old Lord Zhao waved his hand and said, I'm talking about another person. Furthermore, it's also using a borrowed knife to kill. Actually, this was also inspired by elite armament. Although I received the news before and knew about this, I didn't think too deeply about it. But now I've thought of a good method. Oh? Who's strong enough to kill Lin Yi? Guanyin was startled. He didn't expect such a strong person to exist. Southeast Asia's gambling king, Pu Huati. Old Zhao said. Southeast Asia's gambling king? What does he have to do with Lin Yi? Guanyin didn't understand what this person could do. Pu Huati has been invited to Donghai's biggest casino to fight against the gambling king Zhu Qi Shou from Harbor City. Of course, although he's the gambling king of Southeast Asia, he's also an ability user and his combat ability is very high. No one knows exactly how strong he is, but what I do know is that he has an Earth-class late-phase peak as well as a dual practitioner bodyguard. With the two of them together, they should be able to beat Lin Yi. Old Zhao's eyes flashed as he spoke. But he and Lin Yi don't have anything to do with each other. Guanyin was confused. If there is no intersection, we can create an intersection. Old Zhao said. As far as I know, this Pu Huati is a lecher. Every night he must sleep with a virgin. She can't be too old and she must be beautiful. He's very demanding. The brothels in Donghai can't satisfy his needs. Then, Guanyin still didn't understand what Old Zhao meant. But Old Zhao continued. So, a few days before gambling king Zhu Qi Shou arrived, the person in charge of the casino, Gambling Bro, had been helping him find virgins to sleep with him at a high price. In the end, he had no choice but to kidnap them on the streets. But the first time he kidnapped them, they were targeted by the police. Not only did the kidnapping fail, but Gambling Bro's underlings were also arrested. You should know that the police have been cracking down on kidnapping cases recently. These unprofessional gangsters still dared to go against the law. They were asking for trouble. After the kidnapping failed, Pu Huati could only gamble with others in the casino every day. He forced his opponents who lost everything to use their daughters to pay off their debts. or directly forced them to use their daughters to bet. Of course, the advantage of this was that these gamblers could only accept their fate and didn't dare to call the police. But it was enough to see how lecherous Pu Huoti was. He didn't even want the large sum of money he won in exchange for a night of pleasure. Then, how can we let Pu Huoti and Lin Yi become enemies? Guanyin still didn't quite understand his father's meaning. It's time for that illegitimate daughter of yours to come in handy, Old Man Zhao said lightly. Illegitimate daughter? Guanyin was stunned. Isn't there another use for her to give her to? I'm not asking you to give her to Pu Huoti, but to use her as bait to cause a conflict between Lin Yi and Pu Huoti, Old Zhao said with a wave of his hand. Find someone to pretend to be her father and bring her to the casino to lose to Pu Huoti, then inform Lin Yi. I see. Guanyin nodded and said. But will Lin Yi care? He doesn't seem to care, does he? Lin Yi doesn't care about other people, but people who are old friends with Lin Yi he'll always care. Old Zhao smiled coldly. He'll even care about Zhao Qikuan, let alone Chen Shi. With the relationship between Lin Yi and Chen Shi, there's no way he won't care. Chapter 2352. Reminisce? Why would he want to reminisce with Zhao Qikuan? Does he know Zhao Qikuan? Old Zhao paused, frowning. I don't think so, but I feel like it's Lin Yi's intention, Qibing said. Last time I crashed his car in front of the movie theater and he asked me about Zhao Qikuan. It seems like Lin Yi suspects that we're doing something to Zhao Qikuan. Old Zhao nodded, remembering what Qibing had said before. He didn't pay much attention to it, but now that he was connected to Han Xiaopa, he was in a difficult position. Yeah, if I tell him the truth, what if Lin Yi asks for him straight away? Qibing said worriedly. How about this? Didn't Han Xiaopa ask you about the Sky Elixir School's test? This means that he's interested in the Sky Elixir test. Old Zhao was indeed a shrewd man, quickly coming up with a solution. This way you tell him the truth that Zhao Qikuan is going to represent our hidden house Zhao to participate in the Sky Elixir School's test, and that's why he's in seclusion and has no contact with the outside world. Oh. Qibing paused, understanding what his grandpa meant. This way, when Lin Yi hears that Zhao Qikuan is going to participate in the test, he'll be even more determined to go himself. This test is basically a one-way trip and Lin Yi will die there. We've achieved our goal of killing him with a borrowed knife. Not bad, Qibing, you've become very smart now. Old Man Zhao nodded in relief. This is also the reason why I sent you to see Han Xiaopa without any hesitation after hearing what you said just now. If Lin Yi wants to know about the Sky Elixir School's test, tell him more. It's best if he participates in the test and dies. I understand, Grandpa. I'll try my best to tell you more about the benefits of the test. Qibing quickly said after he thought it through. That won't do either. Han Xiaopa isn't a fool. Although the hidden Han family has never participated in the Heavenly Elixir sex trial, they have heard about the dangers of the trial. You can't just say it's good. While you're saying it's good, you have to objectively explain the dangers. Of course, you can emphasize the benefits of the trial rewards of the Heavenly Elixir sect. Old Master Zhao reminded. Yes, Grandpa, I know what to do. Qibing nodded. He hung up and went back to his room to see Han Xiaopa sipping his coffee. How's it going, Master Bing? What's going on in your house? Han Xiaopa asked after Qibing came in. I didn't want to hide this from you, but actually, Zhao Qikuan and the Sky Elixir School's test are basically the same thing. Qibing said. The same thing? What do you mean? Han Xiaopa didn't understand. Grandpa has talked to Qikuan. He'll be representing our hidden house Zhao to participate in the Sky Elixir School's test. He's in seclusion right now, so it's normal that you can't contact him. Qibing said. I can't just say it without Grandpa's approval. Please forgive me, Master Pa. Zhao Qikuan? Participate in the Sky Elixir School's test? Han Xiaopa paused. He didn't expect this answer. This made him a little confused, but from the looks of it, it was most likely true. That's right. If it weren't for Master Pa asking, we wouldn't have said anything. After all, it's their own business. Qibing said. As for the Sky Elixir School's test, this is the situation. I won't talk about the things on the list, everyone knows about it. What I want to say is that the Heavenly Elixir School trial is a very dangerous trial. However, as for how dangerous it is, the trial takers who are lucky enough to complete the task have been ordered to keep their mouths shut. They don't dare to speak carelessly. We, the hidden Zhao family, didn't get much information, but we have some clues. Please speak. Han Xiaopa said quickly. Said that this test is about collecting a certain amount of things in a certain place. As long as you collect enough, you can exchange it with the Sky Elixir School. Qibing said. The rules are very clear. During the test you can't kill each other and you can't steal each other's things. If anyone breaks the rules, the result will be invalid and you'll have to face the wrath of the entire Sky Elixir School. Oh. Han Xiaopa didn't think that the test would be like this. If they couldn't kill each other, then it should be pretty simple. Why did so many people never return? With that in mind, Han Xiaopa asked. Then what if we do something in the dark and no one returns? The identity of the participants isn't public. Only the Sky Elixir sect knows about it, so there are always people from the Sky Elixir sect mixed in every batch. If they were to see it, then their family and sect would be in trouble. Qibing said. That's why it's almost impossible. I've also heard that the danger comes from the environment and the spirit beasts there, so everyone can't even protect themselves once they get there. Who would have the energy to fight among themselves? I heard that the things you need to collect aren't too hard, so there's no need for conflicts of interest. I see. Thank you, Master Bing. Han Xiaopa nodded. His understanding of the Sky Elixir School's test had deepened, but he was a little confused. But if that's the case, why don't the Sky Elixir School just send a few Sky class? Wouldn't the success rate be higher and they wouldn't have to pay such a high price? I'm not sure about that. In the past, the test was limited to Mystic and Earth class, not including Earth class, Qibing said. But this time the rules have been changed. As long as you're above Mystic class, it's not limited to Earth class. Oh? There was a rule like this before? Han Xiaopa hadn't really studied it before, only glancing through it briefly. He didn't compare the details. Wouldn't there be a higher chance of completing the mission if they sent a Sky class? Why don't you send someone more powerful to the hidden Zhao family? Chapter 2353. Of course, this cultivation vessel had to be given to an important person from an ancient sect at a crucial time in exchange for the right to participate in the hidden House Zhao's plan. I understand. Guanyin nodded. I'll arrange for someone to take Qinshi away, and then I'll appear myself to talk to her mother about this and have her call Lin Yi for help. Yes, that's it. Old Zhao nodded. Qinshi will be fine, but Lin Yi will be dead for sure. Even if he doesn't die, he'll be in trouble. Pu Huatiai's background is quite deep. His father is the second head of the #1 mafia in Southeast Asia, right, Miaomin? If he dies, Lin Yi will be in endless trouble. Ah, what a good way to kill with a borrowed knife. Qibing laughed. Grandpa, you're the best. The older the wiser. Seems like I need to learn more. And old Zhao nodded with a smile after hearing Qibing's words. The kid was worth teaching. After parting ways with Qibing, Han Xiaopa contacted Lin Yi immediately, relaying everything Qibing had said to him without missing a single word. Every term has a limit, only this term doesn't have it? Lin Yi frowned after hearing Qibing's words. What was the Heavenly Elixir sect doing? It was weird, but he didn't know what was weird about it either. If the test was dangerous, then wouldn't the higher the strength, the safer it would be? The higher the chance of leaving alive. Was it because the Sky Elixir School was in urgent need of that kind of stuff and had to relax the conditions, or was there some other reason? If it was the former, then couldn't they send their own masters? Why did they have to take out a third-level elixir and treasures of the same value in exchange? Wasn't that a bit too much of a waste? No, Zhao Qibing doesn't know the reason either. He even suspects that the Sky Elixir School was negligent, Han Xiaopa said. I see. Lin Yi nodded, but no matter what, the conditions had changed. This was beneficial to him. Otherwise, he would not be able to participate in the trial if he was still restricted like before. He was already an expert above the Earth rank. Yes, as for Zhao Qikuan, I've asked him and this is what he said. Han Xiaopa said as he told Lin Yi where Zhao Qikuan went. Qitan is also participating in the Heavenly Elixir Sect's trial? Lin Yi was surprised. He didn't think that the hidden House Zhao would arrange things like this. Lin Yi didn't really believe that Qikuan wouldn't be able to contact the outside world, but this was most likely true. But it was very likely that Qikuan wasn't willing, he was forced. Perhaps they had already discovered Qikuan's ambition, and in order for Qibing to get the position smoothly, they locked him up, wanting to use the Sky Elixir School's test to get rid of Qikuan. Otherwise, Qikuan wouldn't be able to do anything before he went into seclusion. No matter what, they should have contacted him to inform him of the situation. It was impossible for there to be no movement at all. Yes, but Zhao Qibing said something else. If you participate in the trial, you can take care of Zhao Qikuan, Han Xiaopa said. Lin Yi paused, understanding what the hidden house Zhao and Zhao Qibing meant. Using a borrowed knife to kill someone. Not only did they know about Qikuan's ambition, but they also knew about his relationship with Qikuan. And so, not only did they want to get rid of Zhao Qikuan, but they also wanted to use the relationship between Lin Yi and Zhao Qikuan to get rid of Lin Yi as well. After all, the heavenly elixir sect's trial was extremely dangerous. Most people didn't make it back, and if Lin Yi were to go and take care of a mystic, he might not even be able to protect himself. What do you say? Lin Yi asked Han Xiaopa after thinking it through. I said it. I asked you to take care of him, but you couldn't do it for free. You had to at least show some sincerity. He used the opportunity to ask for some benefits from the hidden house Zhao, and Zhao Qibing didn't reject it, Han Xiaopa said. Well done. Lin Yi smiled. Since I'm destined to take care of Zhao Qikuan, I'll take care of him. Then we might as well let the Zhao family spend a bit more. Yeah, boss. Should I participate in this trial as well? Han Xiaopa asked. It's too dangerous. Don't go. Lin Yi sighed. It's already hard enough for me to protect one Zhao Qikuan. If there's another, it'll be too much for me. I understand. I won't sign up then. Han Xiaopa knew that Lin Yi was telling the truth, but he was not angry. After all, the difference in strength between him and Lin Yi was like heaven and earth. I have a small qi-gathering pill here. I forgot to give it to you today. If you need it, you can come and get it anytime. Lin Yi said. Pa, it's fine. My family doesn't need it right now. Han Xiaopa smiled, not caring. Lin Yi hung up and went into deep thought. One thing was for sure, this Sky Elixir sex trial was not simple. This was also why the hidden house Zhao wanted to use this trial to get rid of Zhao Qikuan. This test, however, was very important to Lin Yi. The Sky Elixir sect would definitely have the rainbow steel, blue crystal powder, and pure yellow jade. The Sky Elixir sect would definitely have the rainbow steel and perhaps the other two materials as well. So Lin Yi had to go no matter what. Now that Qikuan was there, it gave Lin Yi more confidence. He couldn't just ignore Qikuan's business. Of course, if it weren't for the fact that Lin Yi wanted to get something from the trial, Lin Yi would have gone straight to House Zhao. With his current strength, even if he couldn't beat old Zhao, he could still escape with Qikuan. Although Lin Yi was confident that normal Earth-class late-phase peak masters were no match for him, there was always someone stronger. Even Tagan Long and the 5 Guardians could make Lin Yi lose. That was enough to explain everything. Even now, if Lin Yi were to face the 5 Guardians and Tagan Long again, he wouldn't be as weak as before. But he wouldn't be able to kill them easily. Plus, what about an unknown sky class? Chapter 2354. So when Lin Yi crippled Elder by this time, it was just to scare the hidden house of Zhao and make sure they didn't cause any trouble in Donghai. But to wipe them out in one fell swoop, Lin Yi didn't think the time was right. After all, Lin Yi's own strength was there for all to see. He was only a mid-earth class. If he wanted to kill old man Zhao, he needed to increase his strength a bit more. Speaking of strength, however, Lin Yi had been stuck at Earth class mid-stage for quite some time now. From the Hidden House Summit until now, Lin Yi's strength had long since stabilized and improved. Especially in the extreme battles with the 5th Protector, the Great Protector, Tagan Dragon, and the 3rd Elder, Lin Yi had already reached the peak of Earth class mid-stage, but he was still a little bit away. It was like the straw that broke the camel's back. Without that straw, the camel would not have fallen. He hoped that he would be able to hug Xinyan and train for a while longer before the test, raising his strength to Earth-class mid-phase peak. Even Lin Yi felt a little dirty at the thought hugging a girl to train didn't seem right no matter how he looked at it. Did he want to train more or did he want to hug Xinyan more? Shaking his head, Lin Yi put this thought aside for the time being. He picked up the supplementary martial skill that he had copied in the hidden Han family, Spring Rain from the Heavens. He flipped it open and carefully studied the mantra within. The first style could restore one person's physical strength and true qi. At present, as long as Lin Yi could successfully activate the first style, he could solve Han Jingjing's problem. But to be on the safe side, Lin Yi still memorized the first 10 chants. Lin Yi's memory was not bad to begin with. The 10 verses of the incantation were not long, and it only took him a short while. After he finished reciting, Lin Yi put down the martial skill he had copied and began to prepare to execute the first form, spring rain from the heavens. Executing the first form of the martial skill was actually not difficult for Lin Yi at all. However, it was a martial skill that could only be executed by someone who possessed both the water and wood attributes. It seemed like this martial skill was not something that just anyone could learn. If a sect could raise this many water and wood attribute warriors, then the sect's scale would not be to be underestimated. One could only imagine how powerful those sects were in the ancient times. One could imagine how magnificent and powerful those sects were during the ancient times. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that there were as many experts as there were clouds in the sky. In this era, the number of heaven rank experts didn't exceed 3 digits. Once upon a time, heaven rank experts were as common as dogs. Above sky class, the legendary sky class masters were the true masters. However, with the passage of time, the natural world's spiritual energy became thinner and thinner. Let alone heaven rank, even mystic rank and earth rank were experts that only the hidden aristocratic families could have. After sighing, Lin Yi tried activating it. Of course, Lin Yi was still a little nervous. This was because this martial skill only had wood and water element. Based on the fact that he could activate the frenzied fire fist, the forest of wood's 1,000 transformations, and the fact that he could refine the space within the jade pendant, he should have 3 attributes: metal, wood and fire. But this martial skill had added a water attribute. Did he have a water attribute in his body? Lin Yi didn't believe it. Alchemists with 2 attributes were rare. Blacksmiths with 3 attributes were almost non-existent. Quadruple attribute, what kind of concept was that? But Lin Yi didn't give up. He followed the mantra of heavenly spring rain and started to circulate it in his body. He could circulate the mantra normally, but he didn't know if he could successfully activate it. Heavenly spring rain first form. Lin Yi followed the instructions of the martial skill and released the first form of heavenly spring rain first form. But in the next moment, Lin Yi's face turned ashen. Didn't succeed. Activation failed. Lin Yi looked at his hands in disbelief. Just now Lin Yi had felt the power of the mantra. Just as he was about to send it out through his palm, he stopped abruptly. Impossible, how could this be possible? At the moment of activation, Lin Yi was sure that he could successfully activate it. After all, the mantra of the martial skill had turned the chi in his body into the power of the martial skill and pushed it to the meridians in his palms. He was about to activate it, but the activation failed. Thinking of this, Lin Yi used the mantra of heavenly spring rain again and tried to activate it for the second time. The result was still a failure. This result made Lin Yi, who had always been successful in activating martial skills, turn pale. Previously, because he had the omnipotent martial skill, Lin Yi thought that no matter what martial skill it was, he could successfully activate it. Especially after he combined the wood forest 1,000 transformations, 5 elements 8 trigrams palm, frenzied fire fist and 5 elements 8 trigrams palm into 2 new martial skills. Lin Yi felt that he could activate any martial skill. But the current situation was a heavy blow to Lin Yi. Heavenly spring rain couldn't be activated. Moreover, it was a martial skill that was very useful to Lin Yi. He couldn't activate it, and this made Lin Yi depressed to the extreme. Could it be that there was no water element in his body? The omnipotent martial skill was also based on the element in the body. If there was this element in the body, he could successfully activate the martial skill. If there wasn't this element in the body, he couldn't activate it? As soon as this thought appeared, Lin Yi knew that his guess was probably right. Sighing, Lin Yi turned around and left the room. He didn't continue to study heavenly spring rain anymore. Lin Yi knew that he had mastered the mantra of heavenly spring rain. The reason why he couldn't activate it was because of other reasons. Shield bro, you're out. Yushu saw Lin Yi coming out of the room and jumped up from the sofa. You haven't told me a fun story yet. Lin Yi locked himself in the room when he got home. It could be said that Lin Yi hadn't talked to Meng Yao and Yushu since he came back from Wulin Hate Mountain Range. This made Yushu a little unhappy. Lin Yi has something important to do. He's studying martial skills. He doesn't have time to tell you stories. Meng Yao pulled Shu back to the sofa and said to Lin Yi, don't mind her. You go do what you need to do. Chapter 2355. Okay. Meng Yao was happy as well. It wasn't that she didn't want to listen to Lin Yi's story, but she didn't want to interrupt Lin Yi's business. She glared at Shu. Did you hear that? Big mouth Shu? I'm talking to you. Fine, I won't tell you. Shu is a secret Shu. No one can ask her about things she doesn't want to say, Yushu said weakly. That's true. Meng Yao surprisingly didn't refute this time, it was the truth. If Shu didn't want to say something, she wouldn't say it no matter how you asked her. Lin Yi felt that this was a very warm life as he watched the sisters bicker. Every time he went out he would think of this warm scene when he calmed down. Was this the feeling of homesickness? Was this his home? Sometimes, Lin Yi would feel like he was a part of this villa, and his feelings towards this place surpassed even West Star Village. His longing for this place was also greater than West Star Village. In West Star Village, old Lin was the only person he missed, but Lin Yi didn't miss him at all because in West Star Village old Lin was invincible. This was also the reason why old Lin would tell him to go back and hide whenever he was in trouble. The reason was similar to Air Gooden, but old Lin's situation was more serious. Lin Yi told the Miss and Shu about his trip to Wulong Haut mountain range. It was shocking, even more so than the Ice Palace's test. The enemies were stronger and every step was terrifying. However, there were some key things that Lin Yi didn't tell them, such as Sun Jingyi's identity, and the secrets of the Fire Lion and Sky-class Spider, as well as the Heavenly Dao. Shu and Mingyao's jaws dropped when Lin Yi was done. They didn't think that Lin Yi's trip this time was so dangerous. Even though Lin Yi left out a lot of dangerous situations, the whole process was enough to scare them. Lin Yi, why is it so dangerous? Next time don't go with just anyone. Mingyao was starting to have some feelings for Sun Jingyi. Why did Lin Yi have to go with her? And so dangerous? She's my good friend. Lin Yi smiled. That won't do. What if something bad happens to you? What about me and Shu? Who's going to protect us? Eldest Mrs. Temper, which had been hidden for a long time, flared up again. I won't. Lin Yi said, besides I've also gained some benefits. Yao Yao, actually Shield Bro gets stronger every time he's in danger. We shouldn't stop him. Yushu said all of a sudden. Meng Yao was a little surprised as she looked at Yushu as if she didn't know her. Only when Shield Bro gets stronger can he protect us forever. Yushu continued. This was the first time she'd said something so profound and philosophical. She was completely different from the Shu of the past. Lin Yi looked at Yushu surprised as well. Every time Shu told him about the journey, she'd always be laughing and joking. She'd never be this serious. However, the Miss didn't refute her. She remembered that Lin Yi had created the Fire Bagua Palm based on Taganlong's technique. He'd crippled Elder Bai in one move, so that was the truth. Lin Yi had really gotten stronger. If it was before, Lin Yi wouldn't have been able to cripple an Earth-class late-phase peak with one move. Shu, maybe you're right. Meng Yao nodded and turned to Lin Yi. Then you be careful next time. Promise me and Shu that you'll stay alive. Don't take risks. Okay. Lin Yi smiled. Feeling the miscare, Lin Yi felt warmth in his heart. It was just that he didn't know how to define his relationship with the Mississippi. At first their relationship was very simple, just employer and follower, but later on, it seemed like they were more like friends. The Miss didn't order Lin Yi around anymore. Later on. Now they seemed to be good friends. But it didn't seem like it. Pure and ambiguous. But no matter what, it was a very good feeling. Shield Bro, come shopping with me and Yao Yao tomorrow. We haven't gone shopping in a long time. We don't want to go out when you're not home, Yushu said. It's been so long since I'm in college. I don't have much homework and my weekends are even better than when I was in Songshan. Sure. Lin Yi nodded. He had a lot of things to do these days, one after the other. From Donghai to the Hidden House Summit he had to go to Wulong Haut mountain range. He didn't have much time to spend with Shu and the Mississippi. Oh Shield Bro, you're the best. Yushu called out happily. Meng Yao didn't say anything, but there was a flash of joy in her eyes. The night passed peacefully and the next morning, Lin Yi drove his big Cherokee out of the villa with Meng Yao and Yushu. Next door in Han Jingjing's villa, Han Jingjing stood at the window with a wronged look on her face. She waved her fist. Lin Yi bro, you don't even bring Jingjing out to play. What a waste of Jingjing working so hard for you. But after complaining, Han Jingjing picked up her tablet again and looked at it, but her phone rang. Han Jingjing took out her phone and looked at the caller ID. She picked it up quietly. Dad. Jingjing, how have you been? University life isn't bad, is it? It was a middle-aged man, naturally Han Jingjing's father. Still alright. It's just that the Faculty of Botanical Medicine is different from what I've come into contact with in the past. It's a different specialization, so it's a little strenuous for me to learn it, Han Jingjing said as she rubbed her aching temples. Recently she had been studying pill forging day and night, wasting countless brain cells. Ah, who told you to choose this major on the spur of the moment? Isn't it the same in economics? It's your specialty, isn't it? Mr. Han said with a smile. It's different. Anyway, I quite like this major. Han Jingjing smiled. And as long as you like it. Mr. Han nodded and didn't say anything else. Yeah, it's my own choice. You don't have to worry, Dad. Han Jingjing said. Do I have to worry? You don't have to worry about our family, Mr. Han smiled. Right, how's little Chow? Chapter 2356. If Lin Yi or someone who knew Han Jingjing were here, they'd be very surprised. Wasn't Han Jingjing a nerd as well? But the Han Jingjing right now was very normal, not cute at all. Yeah, I'll be counting on you for Lil Chow, Mr. Han said. Alright, that's enough. I have a business to discuss here, and those ingredients you asked me to find are too hard to find. As for rainbow steel, blue crystal powder, and pure yellow jade, I've never even heard of them. Don't worry, take your time. It'd be best if you can find them. I want to give him a surprise. Han Jingjing said. I'll try my best. That's enough, I'm hanging up now. Mr. Han hung up naturally. Han Jingjing put down the phone and picked up her tablet, returning to her nerd self. Donghai was a provincial city, and the business streets were completely different from Songshan's. It was more prosperous here and more orderly. There was a dazzling array of shops on the side of the street, and there were all sorts of international and domestic brand stores. There were all sorts of luxury cars in the parking lot as well, and Lin Yi's Grand Cherokee wasn't that eye-catching in comparison. An Audi TT parked nearby and Lin Yi was in a bit of a trance. It was as if he was back in Songshan when he went out with Yao Yao and Shu and met Xiao Xiao for the first time. But the driver of the Audi TT was a fat woman, and that shattered Lin Yi's fantasy. Shaking his head, Lin Yi felt troubled. Xiao Xiao. He'd thought that after learning Sky Rain she'd be able to help Han Jingjing with pill refinement, but it seemed like that dream was shattered. When would she be able to make a third-level pill? It seemed like the only way was to break through to Sky Class and get Han Jingjing to Earth Class late phase peak, and then find a chi-gathering pill for her. That was the only way. But there was still a long way to go before he could reach the heaven rank, and chi-gathering pills weren't easy to find. The Sky Elixir sex test made Lin Yi hesitate. He'd wanted rainbow steel, blue crystal powder, and pure yellow jade, but a chi-gathering pill seemed to be more worth it? Lin Yi was caught in a dilemma and had a headache. In fact, the Miss and Shu enjoyed the process of shopping. They didn't need to buy anything, especially after they entered university. Mengyao and Yushu were even more low-key. Although they were named as the prettiest girls in the school, they didn't fight for the limelight. They didn't want to cause unnecessary trouble for Lin Yi. After all, there were more people in the university. They came from all over the world and had all kinds of backgrounds. It was different from when they were in Songshan City. They didn't have to worry too much about the private high school under Pingzhan Industries. Kidnap. Help, It happened in an instant. After the fat woman was stuffed into the Mercedes-Benz van, the big man followed and the van drove away. Lin Yi frowned. He could stop them if he wanted to, but Lin Yi didn't. He didn't know the fat woman and they had nothing to do with each other. Secondly, he was accompanying the Miss and Shu for shopping. He wouldn't let something like this get in his way. Lin Yi wasn't a warm-hearted person. He only looked at the leaving Mercedes-Benz van and didn't pay much attention to it. Why is this black van the same as the one that kidnapped Xinyan? They both don't have a license plate and the same model? Yushi said, surprised. Could it be the same group of people? Mengyao noticed this as well. Looks like a Mercedes-Benz B200. Their modus operandi is quite similar. Oh. Lin Yi paused. He hadn't asked Qintian and Elder Pai about Xinyan's kidnapping since he got back, but he didn't think that the kidnapping in the downtown area would be related to Xinyan's case. This made it even more likely that it was a coincidence. After all, Lin Yi didn't know the fat woman at all, and Lin Yi wasn't familiar with the kidnapping method either. Scope. This has nothing to do with us. Lin Yi said faintly to the Miss and Shu. Mengyao and Yushu didn't want to stick their noses in other people's business and they nodded. They were about to leave when a patrol officer ran over to them, yelling at Lin Yi and the others. Everyone, don't leave yet. You're all eyewitnesses, can you please give us a statement? Lin Yi didn't think there was much point in giving a statement, but he had no choice. He stopped with Meng Yao and Yushu. After that, the two asked Lin Yi and the others about the kidnapping. Everyone's story was pretty much the same. A black Mercedes-Benz B200 without a license plate kidnapped the fat woman from the Audi TT. As for the other details, no one paid attention to themselves, they were all too shocked by what they'd just witnessed. But then a cheetah SUV sped over and stopped at the scene. Ling Shan and Lu Wangli got out of the car looking very serious. Captain Song. The two patrolling officers saluted and handed the statement to Ling Shan. What's the situation? Are there any similarities to the previous cases? Ling Shan instinctively thought of the previous kidnapping cases when she heard the word kidnapping. More or less, it's a black Mercedes-Benz B200 without a license plate. One of the patrolling officers said. But this time, it wasn't near the university city, so we can't rule out the possibility of someone using the same car to commit the crime. Yeah. Ling Shan nodded. It was true after the previous kidnapping cases, a lot of people knew about the car. If someone were to use the same car it might confuse the police. Did you find out the hostage's identity? Ling Shan asked. We've checked the car number but we haven't gotten any results yet. We're still interrogating the eyewitnesses. The patrolling officer said. Chapter 2357. It wasn't that Ling Shan hadn't thought about asking Lin Yi for help, but Lin Yi had gone out a while ago and she knew about it from Xin Yan's case. That was why she didn't contact Lin Yi. Now that Lin Yi was back, naturally she wouldn't let him go. She'd been worrying about the case recently, so why wouldn't she ask Lin Yi about it? Lin Yi. Ling Shan walked over quickly. Lin Yi rubbed his nose and smiled bitterly. It seemed that the more he didn't want to be a busybody, the busybodies found their way to him and he had no choice but to do it. Ling Shan, what a coincidence. Lin Yi said helplessly. Coincidence? You didn't contact me when you came back? Ling Shan wasn't very happy, especially when she saw Lin Yi bringing the Miss and Shu out shopping. I didn't have the time but I was going to contact you. Lin Yi wasn't lying to Ling Shan. He had a qi-gathering pill in his hand and he wanted to give one to Ling Shan. He couldn't just give Qintian everything and not Ling Shan. Really? Ling Shan looked at the Miss and Shu, noticing that they weren't hostile. Her relationship with Meng Yao and Yushu had improved quite a bit, and they weren't as bad as before. Really? Lin Yi nodded, but you should get back to business first. Ling Shan nodded and asked, do you have any suspects? I just came back and it's only the third day. Where would I get a suspect? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. I see. Ling Shan sighed, a little disappointed, but she knew that it was reasonable. After all, Lin Yi had just come back and he didn't know much about the situation. She didn't ask, alright, you guys go shopping first. We'll talk later. Yeah, go do what you need to do. Lin Yi nodded before leaving with Meng Yao and Yushu. Ling Shan was a little disappointed, but she still went through the notes patiently. After that, the documents of the hostages were sent to her. Lei Xiling was the daughter of Lei Daming, the president of the Donghai Chamber of Commerce. She was a fourth-year student at the Business College of Donghai Foreign Studies. She drove an Audi TT sports car and was probably here to shop. Ling Shan's heart skipped a beat. Another student? Moreover, it was the daughter of a wealthy businessman. This was similar to the previous cases. It seemed that the other party was after money. Ling Shan had no choice but to contact Lei Daming. Lei Daming was hiding in the Zhao family and packing his luggage. He was ready to go to Jiduan City to start a new business career. Suddenly his mobile phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. Oh, I'm Lei Daming. Lei Daming didn't dare to refuse, he was afraid that it was Lin Yi. Lei Daming? I'm Song Ling Shan from Donghai's criminal investigation team. Your daughter was just kidnapped on the commercial street. Can you come to Songshan's police station? Ling Shan asked. What? My daughter was kidnapped? Lei Daming froze. He didn't dare believe it. Although Lei Daming knew about the kidnapping cases in Donghai, he never thought that someone would dare kidnap his daughter. After all, his identity was there. Of course, it wasn't the president of the Donghai Chamber of Commerce, but the representative of the hidden house Zhao. After all, the kidnappers dared to kidnap the daughter of a mafia boss. Naturally, they wouldn't be afraid of him, the president of a chamber of commerce. However, he didn't believe that anyone would dare to mess with the hidden house Xiao. His identity and background weren't a secret, and the kidnappers would naturally investigate his background before kidnapping him. Yes, it should be done by the same group of suspects as the previous kidnapping cases. That's why I need you to come. Ling Shan said. Wait, I'll be right there. Lei Daming was troubled. He had just lost his power and his daughter was kidnapped? This was too much of a scam. It was really an unlucky year. However, before Lei Daming could drive to the Donghai police station, the kidnapper's phone call came first. Lei Daming. A voice changer came from the other side of the phone. Who are you? Lei Daming was shocked. He could vaguely guess what was going on. Prepare 20 million or don't blame us. The person said coldly. Don't doubt our reputation. You should have heard of the previous kidnapping cases. Of course, if you don't cooperate, we'll kill you. Wait, I don't have 20 million. Lei Daming said bitterly. You don't? You're the president of Donghai Chamber of Commerce, and you have so many businesses under you. You don't even have 20 million? Who are you kidding? The person heard Lei Daming's words and became impatient. He humphed coldly. If you don't want anything to happen, hand over the money. Don't think that I don't know your background. You're a dog of the hidden house Xiao? How could you not have 20 million? Lei Daming didn't expect them to find out about his hidden identity. It seemed that the kidnappers didn't care about his identity at all. However, he wanted to cry. I'm no longer the president of Donghai Chamber of Commerce. I've been fired. The hidden house Xiao doesn't need me anymore. I don't have any money now. I don't care. Release her when you see the money, kill her within 24 hours. The person humphed coldly and hung up. Lei Daming didn't know what to do. He wanted to ask for help from the hidden house Xiao, but he remembered that he'd offended Lin Yi before. The hidden house Xiao probably wouldn't help him, and it was obvious that the kidnappers weren't afraid of the hidden house Xiao. Thinking back to how the gambling bro's daughter's golden class bodyguard was crippled in one hit, it seemed that the kidnappers were quite powerful. But no matter what, Lei Daming still headed to the police station first. On the way, he thought about how he should ask the hidden house Xiao for help. After parting ways with Ling Shan, Lin Yi brought Meng Yao and Yushu to a shopping mall nearby. They shopped for the whole morning but didn't buy anything. The three of them had lunch at a restaurant in the mall. Meng Yao was drinking her soup after dinner, while Yushu was looking at Lin Yi with those big eyes of hers, as if she wanted to say something, but didn't know what to say. What do you want? Lin Yi asked. I heard that there's a casino in the basement of this mall. I've never been to a casino before. Shield bro, can you bring me and Yao Yao to see it? Yushu said pitifully. Casino? Lin Yi blinked. He didn't expect there to be a casino in the basement of this mall. Chapter 2359. Compared to the stuffy atmosphere in the warehouse, the central air conditioning here was very comfortable, and the waiters in red uniforms were warm and attentive, welcoming every guest. The dealer in green uniform walked back and forth in the casino. It was very lively. The scale of this place surprised Lin Yi. Because of his previous missions, Lin Yi had been to many casinos, but the scale of the casino here was definitely not small. Although it wasn't comparable to casinos like Macau and Las Vegas, it was still one of the best in the underground casinos. 3 distinguished guests, please exchange your chips over here. The man in the black suit gestured, indicating that Lin Yi and the others could exchange their chips at the bar. Okay. Lin Yi nodded and said, thank you. I wish the 3 of you have a good time and a fruitful return. The man in the black suit smiled slightly and went back to his own business. Of course, the fruitful return he said was just for show. There were very few people who actually won money in the casino, almost none. Don't exchange too much, just play around, Lin Yi said to Yushu. Oh, then let's exchange for 100,000. Yushu thought about it and said. Lin Yi nodded. Although 100,000 wasn't a small amount, it was really nothing to Meng Yao and Lin Yi. Peng Zhan gave them more than this amount of pocket money every month. Yushu went to the bar to exchange chips and came back with a big pile of chips worth 1,000. She was a little excited. Yao Yao sis, shield bro, what do you want to play? I don't want to play. Lin Yi knew that gambling was a scam. He had no interest in gambling at all. You play, I'll just watch. I don't know how to play. Meng Yao had never touched these things before. She came here only out of curiosity, no other intentions. Yushu didn't hold back. She looked around the entertainment facilities on the first floor and said, "Let's go play slot machines, this is easy and fun." The full name of the slot machine was the slot machine. It was a kind of gambling machine that could often be seen in casinos. There were even entertainment places that specialized in playing corner machines. It was very common. It could be said that almost every casino had this kind of machine. The gameplay was also very simple. You just had to put the pieces, chips, into the machine and then different patterns would randomly appear. If the time stopped and if the same or specific patterns appeared, you would win based on the odds. This machine. It was also called the fruit machine or the 777, and was popular among gamblers because of its simplicity. Yushu didn't know much about other machines and so naturally she'd locked onto this machine first. Then let's go take a look. Lin Yi and Meng Yao followed Yushu to a wall full of slot machines. There were a lot of people here but there were still some empty slots. Yushu found a random machine and started operating it. This thing was easy to learn and even newbies could play with it. Yushu played with it for a while. After losing a few thousand yuan in chips, she learned how to operate it. Of course, you could also ask the dealer for help, but Yushu preferred to do her own research. Meng Yao was just looking at the novelty and Lin Yi had nothing to do. He had to admit that the scale of the place was on point, and it didn't look like those simple and crude underground casinos at all. From the number of security guards, the service of the waiters, and the level of professionalism of the dealer, one could tell that the employees in this casino had definitely gone to a proper casino for training. To be able to open a casino like this, the identity of the owner was definitely not simple. He was probably some big boss of Donghai's underworld, but Lin Yi didn't want to cause trouble. When it came to gambling, one was willing to fight and the other was willing to suffer. As long as they didn't cheat, Lin Yi didn't want to be Spider-Man. Yushu played for a while and there were wins and losses. But at this time, Yushu's intelligence and ability to discover shuk stood out. She started researching the rules of the slot machines. In fact, as long as it was a computer-controlled gambling machine, there would always be a certain rule. But this rule was something normal people wouldn't be able to discover. Guangyin walked into this dilapidated old residential area and couldn't help but frown. If it wasn't for his father, he would never come to a place like this. However, he only felt disgust, not guilt at all. Qin Shi and her daughter were like strangers in his eyes, and their life and death had nothing to do with him. The hidden house Zhao was an extremely patriarchal family. This was why Zhao Qibing, an illegitimate son, was able to rise to the top, and Qin Shi was reduced to a furnace for gifts. Knock knock knock. Guangyin knocked on the broken security door, and the rotten smell in the corridor filled his heart with disgust. What kind of place was this? Who is it? Mrs. Qin asked curiously. Today was Sunday and Qin Shi was picking up trash with Grandpa Zhu. There shouldn't be anyone here at this time. It's me. Guangyin didn't know how to describe his identity, and he could only suppress the disgust in his heart. He pretended to be helpless and smiled bitterly. Little Shi's father, what? Mother Chen's expression froze. Her hand, which was about to open the door, immediately stopped. She was in a daze as she lowered her trembling head to look through the peephole. Through the peephole she saw a face that made her heart ache, worry and a little hate. It really was him. Mrs. Qin didn't even know his name and she didn't know who he was. She only knew that he raped her, gave her a few thousand yuan and left her alone. After that she never saw this person again. So even in her dreams, Mrs. Qin never thought that this person would appear in front of her again. Was this a good thing or a bad thing? Although Mrs. Qin was a kind person, when she saw this man appear in front of her house again after the excitement, there was only vigilance left. How did he find his way here? And after so many years, why did he come here? Most importantly, how did he call out little Shi's name? One had to know that when she gave birth to little Shi, this person didn't know. You. What do you want? I don't know you. Mrs. Qin said subconsciously. Open the door, I'm here to talk about little Shi. Guangyin thought. Bitch, you're still pretending? You don't know me? If it wasn't for the family's grand plan, do you think I'd want to come to you? What happened to her? Mrs. Qin was shocked, and after hearing that it was about Qin Shi, she stopped doubting Guangyin's motives and opened the door with a bang. Chapter 2360. The dazed Mother Qin once again saw this face up close. a face that she could never forget. This was the only man she had and the man she hated the most. The drunken promiscuity brought Qin Shi and her mother so many years of hardship. How difficult was it for a woman to raise a child all by herself? Little Shi. It's a long story. Zhao Guangyin pretended to sigh helplessly. Today he was playing the role of a downtrodden man, so even though he drove a Mercedes-Benz, his outfit was extremely shabby. Of course, it was a fake shabby outfit. What's wrong with little Shi? Tell me. Mother Qin was losing her composure. Qin Shi was her lifeblood, and now that Zhao Guangyin was hesitating, she subconsciously felt that something was wrong. This started when I found little Shi. Zhao Guangyin began to make up a story. After I found little Shi, I treated her to a meal to express my apologies for all these years. But I didn't think that my enemy would come looking for me. I owed him money. In the end, he took little Shi away to pay the debt, saying that a daughter should pay for a father's debt. What? Little Shi was taken away? Mother Qin was stunned, glaring at Zhao Guangyin angrily. At this moment, her worry for her daughter made her dizzy. She forgot to ask Zhao Guangyin how he found Qin Shi and how he found this place. All she could think of was, what should she do? What should she do? Yes, there's no other way, I can only discuss it with you. Zhao Guangyin didn't want to say another word. Seeing Mother Chen's shock, he was overjoyed. If Mother Chen wasn't afraid or didn't believe him, he would have to make up a bunch of nonsense to explain. That would be really troublesome, but he didn't expect Mother Chen to be so gullible. Then what should we do? You bastard, why are you looking for little Shi? It's been so many years and you haven't come to see us. Why are you looking for little Shi now? Aren't you harming her? Mother Chen was very agitated. Why does your enemy want to capture Xiao Shi? This sigh. I was just thinking that since we haven't seen each other for so many years, I should make it up to little Shi. Who would have thought that my enemy would come? Guangyin said bitterly. He brought little Shi to the casino in the commercial district of Donghai City. I heard that he wanted to curry favor with a Southeast Asian gambling king, Park Ho-Ti, and was prepared to give little Shi to him. I couldn't stop him. It's all my fault. What? Mother Chen was dumbfounded. What Southeast Asian gambling king? What casino? This made her feel that it was very far away from her life. It had nothing to do with her at all. As for the Southeast Asian gambling king, since he was called the gambling king, he must be a powerful and wealthy person. She was just a weak woman, how could she compete with him? She really hated Zhao Guangyin to death. Of all times, he had to come at this time. It was simply a disaster for her and her daughter. At this time, Boss Zhu pushed the door open and ran in shouting, not good, Xiao Qin Shi was taken away. Boss Zhu's appearance was naturally arranged to make Mother Qin believe it was true. If only Boss Zhu appeared, perhaps Mother Qin wouldn't believe it so easily. After all, how could a little girl who picked up trash be taken away? However, Zhao Guangyin's appearance was different. Once he appeared, Mother Chen's mind was in a mess. Then he threw out the bomb that Qin Shi had been kidnapped, which made Mother Chen even more confused. She didn't have the time to think about whether this matter was true or not. Especially when Boss Zhu appeared at the right time, it confirmed Zhao Guangyin's words. Mother Chen was already at a loss, and now Boss Zhu appeared and said that Qin Shi was taken away. Mother Chen was dumbfounded. You're here too? You bastard, didn't you say you're Qin Shi's father? Are you going to treat her to a meal and tell her something? Why did I see her being taken away? Boss Zhu didn't expect Zhao Guangyin to be here. When he saw Zhao Guangyin, he immediately pointed at him and cursed. This. Zhao Guangyin laughed in his heart. Boss Zhu's acting was quite good. The situation is urgent now. I secretly followed those people for a while and I heard that they wanted to use Qin Shi as a bet to please the king of gambling, Pak Ho-Ti. Qin, quickly think of a way, don't let those beasts ruin Qin Shi. Boss Zhu said anxiously. Boss Zhu, what should we do? Mother Qin asked in panic. Now we can only think of a way to ask someone to help us. Boss Zhu began to set up a trap, ready to lead Mother Qin into the trap. I'm just a weak woman, I don't know anyone. How can I compare with those rich and powerful gambling kings? Who can we find to save Qin Shi? Mother Qin said helplessly. Right, I remember someone, he must have a way. Boss Zhu slapped his thigh as if he remembered something important. Who? Zhao Guangyin and Mother Qin asked at the same time. Lin Yi. Boss Zhu finally said the name that he had been waiting for a long time. Lin Yi. Can he help? Mother Qin was desperate. When she heard Boss Zhu mention Lin Yi, she subconsciously thought that Lin Yi might be able to help. After all, Lin Yi had helped their family a lot, maybe he really had a way. She said that Lin Yi had a lot of connections in Songshan, he even knew people from Pigeon Industries, so he must have a way. So in her panic, Mother Chen didn't have time to think carefully. She picked up the phone and dialed Lin Yi's number. Lin Yi held the phone in his hand as he recalled what Mrs. Chen had said. It was a bit confusing, but Lin Yi understood it all. She had been kidnapped, brought to the casino he was in, and someone was using her as a wager against Southeast Asia's king of gamblers, Park Ho-Ti. Or to please Pak Ho-Ti, this person took the initiative to give Shi to Pak Ho-Ti. Although Mother Chen's explanation was full of loopholes in Lin Yi's eyes. Something about Shi's father who hadn't seen for years appearing and taking Shi away, or her father's enemies appearing and taking Shi away, then Shi's father came looking for her. This series of actions was indescribably strange. Where did Shi's father find Shi? How did he know where Mother Chen lived? Why did Shi eat with a stranger? The most amazing thing was that Boss Zhu, an Earth-class early-phase master, could only watch as Shi was taken away and even came back to testify. Chapter 2361. Mother Chen once again saw this face up close, a face she could never forget. This was the only man she had and the man she hated the most. The drunken promiscuity brought Shi and her mother so many years of hardship. How difficult was it for a woman to raise a child all by herself? Little she sigh. It's a long story. Zhao Guangyin pretended to sigh helplessly. Today he was playing the role of a downtrodden man, so even though he drove a Mercedes-Benz, his outfit was extremely shabby. Of course, it was a fake shabby outfit. What happened to little Shi? Tell me. Mother Chen was a little uneasy. Shi was her lifeblood, and now that Zhao Guangyin was hesitating, she subconsciously felt that something was wrong. This started when I found little Shi. Zhao Guangyin began to make up a story. After I found little Shi, I treated her to a meal to express my apologies for all these years. But I didn't think that my enemy would come looking for me. I owed him money. In the end, he directly took little Shi away to pay the debt, saying that a daughter should pay for a father's debt. What? Little Shi was taken away? Mother Chen was stunned and she glared at Zhao Guangyin angrily. At this moment, her worry for her daughter made her dizzy. She forgot to ask how Zhao Guangyin found Shi and how he found this place. All she could think of was, what should I do? What should I do? Yes, there's no other way, I can only come and discuss it with you. Zhao Guangyin didn't want to say another word, and now that he saw Mother Chen's shock, he was immediately overjoyed. If Mother Chen wasn't afraid or didn't believe him, he would have to make up a bunch of nonsense to explain. That would be really troublesome, but he didn't expect Mother Chen to be so gullible, believing him so quickly. Then what should I do? You bastard, why are you looking for little Shi? It's been so many years you haven't come to see us, why are you looking for little Shi now? Aren't you harming her? Mother Chen was very agitated. Why does your enemy want to capture Xiao Shi? This sigh. I was just thinking that since we haven't seen each other for so many years, I should make it up to little Shi. Who would have thought that my enemy would come? Guangyin said bitterly. He brought little Shi to the casino in the commercial district of Donghai City. I heard that he wanted to curry favor with a Southeast Asian gambling king, Park Ho-Ti, and was prepared to give little Shi to him. I couldn't stop him. It's all my fault. What? Mother Chen was dumbfounded. What Southeast Asian gambling king? What casino? This made her feel that it was very far away from her life. It had nothing to do with her at all. As for the Southeast Asian gambling king, since he was called the gambling king, he must be a powerful and wealthy person. She was just a weak woman, how could she compete with him? She really hated Zhao Guangyin to death. Of all times, he had to come at this time. It was simply a disaster for her and her daughter. At this time, Boss Zhu pushed the door open and ran in shouting, not good, Xiao Chen, she was taken away. Boss Zhu's appearance was naturally arranged to make Mother Chen believe it was true. If only Boss Zhu appeared, perhaps Mother Chen wouldn't believe it so easily. After all, how could a little girl who picked up trash be taken away? However, Zhao Guangyin's appearance was different. Once he appeared, Mother Chen's mind was in a mess. Then he threw out the bomb that Shi had been kidnapped, which made Mother Chen even more confused. She didn't have the time to think about whether this was true or not. Especially when Boss Xu appeared at the right time, it confirmed Xiao Guangyin's words. Mother Qin was already at a loss, and now Boss Xu appeared and said that Qin Shi was taken away. Mother Qin was dumbfounded. You're here too? You bastard, didn't you say you're Qin Shi's father? Are you going to treat her to a meal and tell her something? Why did I see her being taken away? Boss Xu didn't expect Xiao Guangyin to be here. When he saw Xiao Guangyin, he immediately pointed at him and cursed. This. Xiao Guangyin laughed in his heart. Boss Xu's acting was quite good. The situation is urgent now. I secretly followed those people for a while and I heard that they wanted to use Qin Shi as a bet to please the king of gambling, Pak Ho Ti. Qin, quickly think of a way, don't let those beasts ruin Qin Shi. Boss Xu said anxiously. Boss Xu, what should we do? Mother Qin asked in panic. Now we can only think of a way to ask someone to help us. Boss Xu began to set up a trap, ready to lead Mother Qin into the trap. I'm just a weak woman, I don't know anyone. How can I compare with those rich and powerful gambling kings? Who can we find to save Qin Shi? Mother Qin said helplessly. Right, I remember someone, he must have a way. Boss Xu slapped his thigh as if he remembered something important. Who? Xiao Guangyin and Mother Qin asked at the same time. Lin Yi. Boss Xu finally said the name that he had been waiting for a long time. Lin Yi. Can he help? Mother Qin was desperate. When she heard Boss Xu mention Lin Yi, she subconsciously thought that Lin Yi might be able to help. After all, Lin Yi had helped their family a lot, maybe he really had a way. Qin Shi said that Lin Yi had a lot of connections in Songshan, he even knew people from Pijan Industries, so he must have a way. So in her panic, Mother Qin didn't have time to think carefully. She picked up the phone and dialed Lin Yi's number. Lin Yi held the phone in his hand as he recalled what Mrs. Qin had said. It was a bit confusing, but Lin Yi understood it all. Qin Shi had been kidnapped, brought to the casino he was in, and someone was using her as a wager against Southeast Asia's king of gamblers, Pak Ho Ti. In other words, this person wanted to please Pak Ho Ti and took the initiative to give Qin Shi to Pak Ho Ti. Although Mother Chen's explanation was full of loopholes in Lin Yi's eyes. Qin Shi's father that she hadn't seen for many years appeared and took Qin Shi away, or Qin Shi's father's enemy appeared and took Qin Shi away, then Qin Shi's father came looking for her. Chapter 2362. It didn't make sense at all. If Lin Yi didn't know that Boss Xu was in Earth class early phase, then so be it. Boss Xu was clearly a master and something like this had happened. There was only one possibility: Boss Xu was hiding something, and this might have something to do with him. But all of this wasn't important anymore because no matter what, Lin Yi had to save Qin Shi. He knew that this was a trap set up by Boss Xu, but Lin Yi had no choice but to jump in. He couldn't just watch someone die. If something happened to Qin Shi, not only would it be hard to explain to Ziyu, but it would also be hard to explain to Xiao Xiao. After all, this was the girl that Xiao Xiao decided to help. If Xiao Xiao left and Lin Yi didn't take good care of her, Xiao Xiao would be unhappy when she came back. There was no other way. Lin Yi had to go meet that Pu Ho Ti. Shu Yao Yao, you guys stay here and play. I have something to do, I need to go to the second floor, Lin Yi said to the two. Alright Shield Bro, go do what you need to do. Yushu was having fun and she'd basically figured out the rules of the slot machine. She could win at least 2 or 3 times out of 10, but it was a level where she didn't lose anything. Lin Yi nodded. The security here was quite strong, and as long as Meng Yao and Yushu didn't cause trouble, there shouldn't be any problems. After all, the people who came here were all rich people, and if the security wasn't good, who would come here again? Yao Yao, keep an eye on Shu. Don't let her cause trouble. She can play by herself. Lin Yi told Meng Yao. I know, don't worry. The miss was a sensible person and naturally she wouldn't let Shu cause trouble. With that, Lin Yi walked to the second floor of the casino. The first floor was for the public and it was very normal. The second floor, on the other hand, was for 5-card stud bets, and the entry chips were 1 million. Mrs. Qin, under Boss Xu's guidance, knew that Qin Shi was in the second floor and even knew the room number. There were many problems, but Mrs. Qin was panicking and didn't pay attention to these details. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was different. This was most likely Boss Xu's doing. Good day, mister, this is the VIP section upstairs. You'll need to show your membership card or exchange 1 million in chips. Lin Yi was about to go downstairs when 2 waiters stopped him, saying politely, I'll go find someone, Lin Yi said. He was going to exchange his chips directly, But he suddenly remembered that if this was Boss Zhu's doing, there had to be something fishy going on. Boss Zhu would want him to get there as soon as possible. If he was stuck in the matter of the chips, it might not be what Boss Zhu wanted to see, so Lin Yi intended to test it. Looking for someone? The waiters were slightly surprised and then asked, "Sir, who are you looking for?" "The number 1 room, the gambling king Pu Huati." Lin Yi said, "I'm looking for the person who gambled with him." The waiters who asked the question were slightly surprised. Just when he wanted to say something, the other waiters interrupted him and directly gestured to Lin Yi. "Sir, please go downstairs." Lin Yi sneered in his heart. Sure enough, someone must have told this waiter. Otherwise, this waiter wouldn't go against the casino's choice. First, he didn't want the membership card, and second, he didn't let Lin Yi buy chips. He directly asked Lin Yi to go downstairs. Although in the casino the members could bring people to the 2nd floor, but it must be in the presence of the members. In a situation like Lin Yi's, it was normally not allowed, but this waiter did it. Hee. Lin Yi smiled slightly, took the escalator downstairs and went straight to the number 1 room. The gambling king of Southeast Asia, naturally, deserved the treatment of the sky's first room. However, Lin Yi was stopped by someone at the door. "Who are you? What are you doing?" A man in black stretched out his arm coldly and blocked Lin Yi's path. This person was just an ordinary bodyguard, not even a golden class master. Lin Yi naturally wouldn't put him in his eyes. But before Lin Yi could reply, another man in a white suit said to the man in black, "You must be Gambling Bro's friend, please come in." Lin Yi's eyes narrowed. A master at the peak of the late phase of the mystic class was just a bodyguard? And he purposely said that he was Gambling Bro's friend to confuse right and wrong. Did he really think that Lin Yi didn't know the problem here? Moreover, his words clearly indicated that he was waiting for Lin Yi to come. It wasn't a coincidence that Qin Shi was kidnapped by her enemy like Mother Qin said. Indeed, Lin Yi was already at the door. Zhao Guangyin's people didn't need to hide anything anymore. From his point of view, since Lin Yi was here, then he was a dead man. A superhuman and an Earth-class late-phase peak would definitely be able to make Lin Yi stay here. This was also Zhao Guangyin's intention. Since Lin Yi was here, then there was no need to pretend anymore. His act was to fool Mother Qin, and Zhao Guangyin knew that he couldn't fool Lin Yi. "Oh, thank you." Lin Yi patted the shoulder of the master at the peak of the late-phase peak of the mystic class. Looked like he was thanking him, but he was actually activating the first form of the fiery 8 trigrams palm. And so, this pitiful master at the peak of the late-phase peak of the mystic class, Zhao Qisan, died without even being able to resist. Because he never would have thought that Lin Yi would attack him without a sound, and it was a killing move. He died with his eyes wide open. The black-clothed man saw that Lin Yi had killed him. He wanted to say something, but Lin Yi grabbed his neck and easily crushed him to death. Since he was here to cause trouble, Lin Yi didn't need to pretend. Mercy? There was no need to be merciful. Lin Yi didn't like Boss Zhu from the start. If it wasn't for the fact that he wasn't sure which force he belonged to, and that he wasn't his opponent before, Lin Yi would have killed him a long time ago. Of course, the other reason why Lin Yi didn't do anything to him was because Boss Zhu was beside Qin Shi. Although he definitely had ulterior motives, at least he could protect Qin Shi. This was also why Lin Yi kept him alive. But now was it finally time to make a move? Chapter 2363. Mr. Park, this Gamble Bro was just an attendant in this room, and whether it was in the eyes of Southeast Asia's gambling king or the hidden house Zhao, he was just a small character. Of course, he knew how Lin Yi came in because the hidden house Zhao had given him a heads up. Although he didn't dare offend Pu Huati, he didn't dare offend the hidden house Zhao in Donghai City. Brother Gamble could only stammer awkwardly as he did not know how to explain. "Where's Qin Shi?" Lin Yi looked at the two people who had a surprised look in their eyes. These two were probably in cahoots with the Mystic Late Phase Peak. One of them was Mystic Late Phase Peak and the other was Earth Class Early Phase. Their expressions proved that they were waiting for him. She already lost to Southeast Asia's gambling king Mr. Pu Huati. The Earth Class Early Phase smiled and said to Lin Yi, "There's nothing for us to do here, we're leaving. Mr. Park, enjoy yourself." Lin Yi, on the other hand, turned his attention to Pu Huati and the man in black behind him. Pu Huati. Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat. He was a practitioner, but Lin Yi couldn't see through his strength. He didn't know what level he was at. This was the first time Lin Yi's golden finger had malfunctioned like this. Even when he was facing the Sky class from the Ice Palace or even the masters from the Tagan family, it never failed. But this time, it failed on a Southeast Asia gambling king. This person was indeed a spiritual practitioner, but Lin Yi couldn't see through his level. But the man in black behind him, Lin Yi could clearly see through his strength. He was an Earth-class late-phase peak spiritual practitioner. Lin Yi frowned and understood that these two were strong opponents. If they really fought, it would be very troublesome. And Lin Yi could basically conclude that Qin Shi didn't have much of a relationship with these two. Qin Shi and these two people actually didn't have much of a relationship. These two people getting involved was completely a trap set up by Boss Xu. Therefore, after some consideration, Lin Yi decided not to directly deal with Pu Huati and the bodyguards behind him. Instead, he targeted the two problematic people here. Who is the master behind you? Who told you to bring Qin Shi here as a stake? Lin Yi asked lightly, speak or die. This Earth rank expert was called Zhao Guangliu. Qin Shi wasn't in the room. After Lin Yi arrived, he would definitely look for Qin Shi. Now that Qin Shi belonged to Pu Huati, if Lin Yi wanted to make a move, it would be against Pu Huati. He didn't expect Lin Yi to target him the moment he entered the room. Of course, if Lin Yi didn't know that there was something wrong with Elder Zhu and only thought of them as enemies of Qin Shi's father, perhaps Lin Yi really wouldn't care about them. But he let them go. After all, Lin Yi's main goal here was to find Qin Shi. But Lin Yi knew that these people had something to do with Boss Xu. Naturally, he wouldn't let them go. As for Pu Huati, he was someone that Lin Yi didn't care much about. Qin Shi is in the room, she belongs to Mr. Pu now. It has nothing to do with us. Qin Shi's father gave her to us, don't look for us. Guangliu was a little scared. He knew that Lin Yi had crippled Elder Bai in one move, so he didn't think that he could fight against Lin Yi. Yeah, we'll leave first if there's nothing else. You want to look for someone, go find Mr. Pu. Let's go to Mr. Pu. Another mystic late-phase peak Xiao Qixi said. What's the relationship between you and Boss Xu? Lin Yi didn't answer the two. What Boss Xu, we don't know each other. Guangliu was about to turn and leave the room. He didn't want to argue with Lin Yi. The longer they stayed here, the more dangerous it would be. Xiao Qixi had the same thought. This was a fight between Lin Yi and Pu Huati, so they should leave as soon as possible. Since you don't want to talk, then stay. Lin Yi didn't want to waste any more time with them, they were just small fries. If they didn't want to talk, then so be it, the problem still needed to be solved by Boss Xu. The next moment Lin Yi moved. It was still the first form of the Fire 8 Trigrams palm, and Qixi died without a chance to fight back. He didn't even resist, didn't even struggle. He died just like that. In Lin Yi's eyes, killing a mystic late-phase peak was as easy as killing a chicken. Guangliu wanted to say something, but Lin Yi used another maniac 8 trigram palm, and Guangliu died with his eyes wide open. The two of them couldn't understand why Lin Yi didn't go to Pu Huati for Qin Shi but killed them first. According to their assumptions, Lin Yi would be in a hurry to find Qin Shi, and as the third party who lost Qin Shi to Pu Huati, it should be easy for them to get away from this. But reality and ideals were different. Lin Yi didn't give them a chance to explain it all. He killed them with lightning speed. Of course, the reason why Lin Yi was so ruthless was because Boss Xu had bitten Qin Shi with a poisonous snake, so Lin Yi didn't have a single good impression of Boss Xu and his men. But most importantly, Lin Yi was killing the chicken to warn the monkey. Because Lin Yi had a cheat, he could see the strength of Pu Huati's bodyguards. And because of this cheat, Lin Yi felt that Pu Huati would be hard to deal with, so he didn't want to be his enemy if he could. So Boss Xu's men didn't die in vain. They thought that Lin Yi would have a conflict with the gambling king of Southeast Asia, Pu Huati, but Lin Yi didn't. Even Zhao Guangyin and Old Man Zhao thought that Lin Yi would directly make a move on Pu Huati. Under normal circumstances, what kind of strength could a gambling king have? Even if he had a bodyguard, it couldn't be too strong. Gambling Bro's daughter's bodyguard was only a golden class master, so they thought that Lin Yi wouldn't be afraid of anything. Old Man Zhao also wanted to use this point to make Lin Yi make a move on Pu Huati so that he could kill him with a borrowed knife. But now the person was killed, but it was just borrowing Lin Yi's knife to kill the hidden Zhao family's people. After getting rid of the two practitioners, Lin Yi acted as if nothing had happened. He turned to look at Pu Huati and smiled. Mr. Pu, where's that girl called Qin Shi? She's my friend, I hope you can let me take her away. Pu Huati frowned and began to guess Lin Yi's true strength. Chapter 2364. A practitioner with this kind of strength was most likely from a hidden house, or from the ancient times. Pu Huati didn't want to provoke these kinds of people, and usually chose to avoid them. It wasn't that Pu Huati was afraid of them, it was just that Pu Huati's roots weren't here. He was the gambling king and he didn't want to cause trouble. Before he left, his master had told him that there were many hidden masters here, and it was best not to make enemies. But Pu Huati didn't want to make enemies, it was because he couldn't let go of Qin Shi. Pu Huati had a secret. To outsiders he was seen as a perverted ability user, but he himself knew that he wasn't an ability user but a demonic cultivator. What he cultivated was different from ordinary cultivators. His master was once the subordinate of a very powerful elder in Miaojiang. That elder was once a demonic cultivator who used to refine venomous insects to achieve the goal of cultivation. However, that elder was killed by someone. His master endured the humiliation and hid for many years. Finally, he found an opportunity to successfully escape to Southeast Asia. He established his own sect and founded a new sect, the Right Miao sect. The people in this sect all practiced a type of goo poison, but the information his master got wasn't very complete and there were many flaws. Most of the people who practiced this poison died and only Pu Huati succeeded. But in order for the poison to grow stronger he needed virgin blood to refine it. So, he wasn't a pervert, but he had a secret that he couldn't tell others. Once this kind of poison was mastered it would be invulnerable to weapons and fire. Although it wouldn't reach the level of the ancestral master elder, it would still be able to reach half of the level. Even so, it was enough to compete with those who mastered the golden cover and iron shirt. And Pu Huati, who had countless women under his belt, immediately saw what was special about Qin Shi. Qin Shi wasn't an ordinary girl but a first-rate cultivation cauldron. This type of cauldron wasn't like those ordinary girls who only had an effect when they slept together for the first time. Qin Shi could provide endless help to Pu Huati's cultivation. So even if it meant offending Lin Yi, Pu Huati had to get Qin Shi. Even if he had to hide in Southeast Asia and never come out, he wouldn't let go of this golden opportunity. Of course, his superficial identity as a mutant was also a disguise to cover up his true identity as a demonic cultivator. As for his identity as the gambling king, it was just a disguise. It was just to make it easier for him to find some girls that he treated as cultivation resources. In fact, the reason why he could become the gambling king was very simple. He could control a type of insect called the eye and ear insect. Although this insect was very difficult to refine and only his master could refine it, Pu Huati was able to use it. The so-called eye and ear goo was a type of goo that could fly. It was very small in size and would fly in the air. It was distributed in a radius of 10 meters or even a few hundred meters around Pu Huati. These flying insects were Pu Huati's eyes and ears. Whatever the flying insects saw and heard, they would be transmitted to Pu Huati. Therefore Pu Huati could become the gambling king because of these goo insects called eye and ear goo. As for the ability, it was just an excuse. But Pu Huati didn't refute the rumor. False could be true, sometimes true could be false. Anyway, it was true and false. As long as he used his identity as the gambling king to continuously find girls to refine his demonic cultivation, it would be fine. I don't care who you are. The casino has the rules of the casino. She's already my trophy. I won't let anyone take her away. Pu Huati quickly made a decision and said faintly, "Please?" Lin Yi frowned. He didn't expect that Pu Huati wouldn't give him face even after he killed 2 people. It seemed like he had something to rely on. Because in Lin Yi's opinion, a person who was lustful wouldn't be this desperate. Fighting against a powerful enemy for an ordinary girl wasn't a worthwhile thing. As the gambling king of Southeast Asia, what kind of girl couldn't he find? Was there one more? Mr. Pu, I don't want to be your enemy. But if you insist on going against me, then I can only use force. Lin Yi's voice became cold. What Pu Huati usually did had nothing to do with Lin Yi. But today he wanted to take Qin Shi away by force. Lin Yi could only take action. Go against me? Do you think you're worthy? Pu Huati smiled coldly. An Earth class early phase and a Mystic class late phase peak. 2 ants were killed by you. Do you think that's amazing? Or do you think that you're trying to give me a show of strength? Lin Yi's eyes narrowed. He didn't think that Pu Huati would say something like this after he'd shown his strength. The only possibility was that Pu Huati was very strong. Or he was relying on the Earth-class late-phase peak next to him. From the beginning until now, Lin Yi had killed an Earth-class early-phase and a Mystic-class late-phase peak. But Lin Yi's strength was that of an Earth-class mid-phase. This was probably why Pu Huati was so fearless. If we don't get along, then let's fight. Lin Yi felt a surge of heroism. The black-clothed bodyguard behind Pu Huati was clearly not a normal Earth-class late-phase peak. His strength was there, but his chi waves were far stronger than Elder Bai's. He was even stronger than the Earth-class late-phase peak 5 guardians. This person was a strong opponent. If Lin Yi were to fight him, it wouldn't be easy for him. So when Lin Yi said that, he also sent a message to Elder Pai and the others. Lin Yi had been using this phone for a long time and he was very familiar with the controls. He didn't need to look at the screen at all. This was the most basic skill Lin Yi had when he was an assassin. Pu Laolu, go kill him. Pu Huati frowned, not wanting to talk to Lin Yi anymore. Yes. When the black-clothed bodyguard behind Pu Huati heard Pu Huati's words, he immediately moved. At this moment, before the battle even started, the incomparably domineering aura in his body exploded out, reaching its peak. Following that, Pu Laoyu's body pressed down on Lin Yi, his right claw turning light red as well. Lin Yi didn't know what technique it was, but Pu Laolu grabbed at Lin Yi. Suddenly, a wave of pure energy surged towards Lin Yi, and the strong and domineering pressure made Lin Yi's breath catch in his throat. Chapter 2365. Hu. Fiery 8 trigrams palm 5th form. Lin Yi didn't dare to be careless. He quickly circulated his chi and activated his strongest martial technique. In an instant, red flames accompanied Lin Yi's palms as they flew towards Parkol 6. Park Huati was fine as he watched the fight between Lin Yi and Parkol 6 expressionlessly. But Gamble Bro, on the other hand, took in a breath of cold air. He was starting to feel uneasy. He was only a peak late-phase golden class master, but when Lin Yi and Parkol 6 used their martial techniques, the formless heat in the air was unbearable for him. This was what it meant when the gods fought, the little devil suffered. When Lin Yi killed the 2 hidden masters from House Zhao, Gamble Bro didn't think much of it. But when Lin Yi used his strongest technique in this small room, Gamble Bro couldn't take the pressure anymore. Mr. Park? Can I leave first? Gamble Bro looked at Park Huati carefully. And Park Huati snorted. His attention was on Lin Yi and Parkol 6. And he didn't pay attention to Gamble Bro at all. As for whether Gamble Bro left or not, it didn't matter to him. He was just a small character. After hearing Park Huati's permission, Gamble Bro felt as if he had been pardoned. He quickly ran out of the room, but as soon as he stepped out, he saw the 2 corpses at the door. He shivered and didn't dare to stay any longer. In his opinion, no matter who won or lost, Brother Gamble couldn't afford to provoke them. Therefore it was better for him to leave first. Seeing Lin Yi's technique, Pu Laoyu's eyes flashed with a hint of disbelief. Perhaps he didn't think that Lin Yi, a mid-earth class warrior, would be able to use the 11th technique. It was a technique that only a sky-class warrior could use. Could it be that he was hiding his strength? Pu Laoyu's heart skipped a beat, but he didn't think it was possible. Lin Yi's true chi was clearly at the mid-earth class level. Once he activated the 11th technique, he wouldn't be able to hide his true strength anymore. But the situation in front of him was very strange. Lin Yi had indeed used the strength of an Earth-class middle stage to activate the 11th martial technique that only a Heaven-class early-stage master could use. This was simply unimaginable. However, even so, Pu Laoyu's heart was only shocked for a moment. He wasn't afraid because his martial technique was also a high-grade martial technique. It wasn't the low-grade martial techniques of ordinary hidden families. Now that he had mastered the 10th technique of the sky-splitting claw, he didn't need to be afraid of Lin Yi's fiery 8 trigrams palms 5th technique. Even though this 5th technique had the power of the 11th technique. The distance between the 2 wasn't far to begin with. In the blink of an eye, the distance between the 2 became smaller and smaller. Lin Yi's palms faced Pu Laoyu's sky-splitting claw. This situation made Pu Laolu a little puzzled. Normally, martial techniques were used with one hand. Could Lin Yi use both hands? This fellow was not just any ordinary kind of strange. In theory, it was not easy to be able to use a martial skill with one hand. Unless it was a martial skill that required both hands to use at the same time, then it could be used with both hands. However, most martial skills were only used with one hand. Only those special people who had studied martial skills thoroughly could use both hands at the same time. Of course, although both hands could be used at the same time, it was only the same type of martial technique. The power would only increase by a little, it couldn't be doubled. So Pu Laolu wasn't very afraid. He only had a strong desire to fight. It had been a long time since he met a true opponent. As a mystic late-phase peak, it wasn't strange for him to fight a heaven-class early-stage master. But when he saw Lin Yi, his eyes flashed with excitement. Because he knew that Lin Yi was someone like him. Someone who could fight a higher-level opponent. Wasn't Lin Yi the same? Lin Yi had been stuck at the bottleneck of Earth-class mid-phase for quite a while now. He'd just broken through at the Hidden House Summit and it didn't seem like a long time, but he'd gone through quite a bit of training during that time, and was only a step away from Earth-class mid-phase peak. Leveling up during battle was Lin Yi's ultimate weapon. So this time, although Lin Yi felt that his opponent was troublesome, he still made his move. But Lin Yi had a backup plan. Old Pai came to help. A palm and a claw violently collided with each other. A dull sound of impact suddenly rang out from the point of contact between the fist and the claw. With this point as the origin, a raging wave of true energy rippled out rapidly in all directions. But Pu Huatiai's face didn't change as he sat in front of the gambling table. He wasn't affected at all by the chi from the fight. It was as if all of this had nothing to do with him. In reality, this really had nothing to do with Pu Huati. He trained in a type of King Kong goo poison. Although he hadn't mastered it yet, this level of chi didn't affect him at all. Boom. Lin Yi's other palm landed on Pu Laoyu's chest. It made a muffled sound, but Pu Laolu didn't seem to be hurt at all. His body shook slightly and he took on Lin Yi's fiery 8-trigram palm head-on. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was injured by the chi from Pu Huatiai's unknown skill. Lin Yi took a few steps back and spat out a mouthful of blood. A cultivator of both internal and external strength. Lin Yi looked at Pu Laolu in disbelief. He didn't expect Pu Laolu to be a cultivator of both internal and external strength. And it seemed like his external strength training focused on defense, similar to the Golden Clock faction's defensive skills. Smart. Pu Laolu was hit by the fifth form of the Fire 8-trigram palm as well, but he was a practitioner of both internal and external disciplines. The clash of pure chi did cause some damage to him, but his meridians and organs weren't damaged at all. He was only shaken up a little. Does your external martial arts have a high defensive attribute? After falling to the ground, Lin Yi didn't rush to get up. Instead, he quickly used the art of dragon mastery to heal his internal injuries. He was just stalling for time. Not bad. Pu Laolu nodded. You're also the first low-level cultivator to survive under my hands. Chapter 2366. You are indeed strong. Lin Yi did not deny it. But I will not give up. Stupid. Pu Laolu sneered. Fine, I didn't want to kill you, but since you want to ruin Mr. Park's plan, I can only send you to hell. Lin Yi's expression changed slightly. His opponent's strength was almost a notch higher than his. If he still had the Vulcan bullets, Lin Yi would have 100% chance of winning. Unfortunately, he had used 2 Vulcan bullets on the guard and 1 on Tagan Dragon. Now he could only fight head-on. Although a head-on collision was the most disadvantageous way for Lin Yi had no other choice. Mystic class was a competition of strength, while Earth class was a competition of the strength of martial arts. Only Sky class masters could infuse their true chi into their weapons, and at Earth class, using weapons would be a burden. Frenzy Fire 8 trigrams palm 5th form. Lin Yi once again activated the Frenzy Fire 8 trigrams palm, but this time Lin Yi's target was Pu Laoyu's head. He was looking for a weakness, hoping that his head would be his weakness. However, the disdain in Pu Laoyu's eyes made Lin Yi understand that his head was not a weakness. This person was the same as Ma Zhu, a physical practitioner with high defense. It was not easy to find a weakness from head to toe. Especially since this person had practiced internal martial arts and became a master of internal martial arts that could attack. It was even more difficult to deal with. So, in an instant Lin Yi made a decision. As the saying goes, to capture all the followers one must first capture the ringleader. Lin Yi might as well not attack Pu Laolu. Since his attacks were useless, he might as well leave his back for him to attack. Meanwhile, Lin Yi shifted his target to Pu Huati. Suddenly, Lin Yi's attack on Park 06 made an inconceivable turn in the air, and both of his palms suddenly attacked Park Ho-Ti, who was sitting beside the gambling table. When Lin Yi was an assassin, he had learned a kind of footwork. When he used it, he was faster than ordinary cultivators. This footwork could also make some seemingly unimaginable moves, such as now. Neither Park 06 nor Park Ho-Ti expected Lin Yi to suddenly turn around and target Park Ho-Ti. Boom, boom, bang. Lin Yi's palms accurately landed on Pu Huati's chest, and Park 06's heaven-splitting earth-splitting claw that was flickering with fiery red true energy also grabbed onto Lin Yi's back. At the same time that Lin Yi hit Park Ho-Ti, he was also hit by Park 06. A mouthful of blood sprayed on the gambling table, dyeing the poker cards red. However, what made Lin Yi feel inconceivable was that Park Ho-Ti did not dodge. Instead, he took on Lin Yi's move with an indifferent expression on his face. Because of Lin Yi's speed, Park Ho-Ti definitely could not dodge. Even if he was an early-stage heaven stage expert, he would definitely not be able to dodge Lin Yi's sudden change of move. After all, the private room was too small. But even if he could not dodge, it did not mean that he could not dodge and avoid the important parts. However, Park Ho-Ti did not dodge. He used his chest to take on the fifth form of Lin Yi's Mad Fire 8 trigram palm. After receiving the move, his expression was still indifferent, as if the person that Lin Yi just hit was not him at all. You are also a physical cultivator? Lin Yi was shocked. A trace of disbelief flashed in his eyes. Park 06 was a physical cultivator with high defense. This was already very shocking to Lin Yi, but he did not expect Park Ho-Ti to be the same. However, Lin Yi still could not clearly see Park Ho-Ti's level of strength. Although Lin Yi's golden finger could not directly see the level of a physical cultivator's strength, when a physical cultivator used an external mental cultivation technique to defend or attack, they would use the surrounding spiritual energy to transform into true qi around their body. At this time, Lin Yi could determine their level of strength. Because of this, when Park 06 was defending, Lin Yi knew that he was a physical and external cultivator. However, Park Ho-Ti did not. Lin Yi could not even see his level. Lin Yi only had a feeling that he was a cultivator, but he did not know the specifics of what he practiced and what level of strength he had. Park Ho-Ti did not answer Lin Yi's question. Instead, he looked at Lin Yi and said, "You are not weak. I do not want to be enemies with the practitioners on your side. Now turn around and leave, I will not stop you." Although Park Ho-Ti was not injured, he could feel that Lin Yi was not an ordinary person. He was only a mid-earth class practitioner, but he was able to raise his martial technique to the 11th form of the sky class early stage. This was definitely not some random wandering practitioner. Therefore, Park Ho-Ti guessed that Lin Yi's background was not that simple. He must have the support of an ancient sect or some other force. Being enemies with him was not a good thing. According to Park Ho-Ti's plan, he was prepared to stay in China for a period of time. He would go to various underground casinos and challenge the king of gambling as well as some arrogant gamblers. This way, he would be able to exchange for the virginity of a few young girls to practice his demonic arts. Because of this, after seeing Lin Yi's strength, he was a bit scared. He did not want to be enemies with Lin Yi. "I also do not want to be enemies with you, but you have captured my friend. I must bring her back or else I will not rest until I die." Lin Yi did not back down. "Do you really think that I am afraid of you?" Park Ho-Ti frowned and said lightly, "I am just a bit afraid of trouble. Since you are so stubborn, then don't blame me for being impolite." Park 06 continue. "Kid, Mr. Park will let you live. Don't be so ungrateful." Park 06 said coldly, "You can't beat me. Although I have to admit that your martial technique is very powerful, it can only give me a small injury. If you want to hurt me, you can't even use 100 moves. So you are saying that I can't do anything to you? No matter how powerful my martial technique is, it will be useless." Lin Yi asked. "Kid, if I don't tell you, I am afraid that you will not give up. To be honest, my internal and external martial techniques complement each other. In this world, unless it is someone who is a lot stronger than me, such as Sky Class Mid-Stage and above, anyone under Sky Class Mid-Stage and below is not much of a threat to me." Park 06 said proudly, "The bane of my external martial techniques is actually my internal martial techniques. Only my internal martial techniques can break through my external martial techniques. Chapter 2367. Lin Yi held back his excitement at the thought, but his face remained expressionless. He didn't think that Old Six would reveal his secret. Originally, Lin Yi only wanted to get some information out of Pu Laolu to buy some time, then compress a true energy bomb and throw it at him. However, the compressed true energy bomb did not have enough time. Most importantly, if Lin Yi could secretly learn Pu Lao's martial arts technique, it would be much easier than compressing the true energy bomb. Compressing the true energy bomb was not something that could be completed in a short period of time. You can say that. This martial arts technique was destroyed by me after I obtained it. As far as I know, no one else has it. Pu Laolu said calmly, so I advise you not to waste your time. The reason why Pu Laolu told Lin Yi the truth was that he did not think that Lin Yi could learn his martial arts technique. Even if Lin Yi could get his hands on his martial arts technique through special means, it would take a long time. Moreover, his martial arts technique was unique. It was impossible for Lin Yi to get his hands on it. In short, he was not afraid that Lin Yi would use this martial arts technique against him. However, he did not expect Lin Yi to steal it. Is that so? Let's try again. Lin Yi said as he activated the fifth style of Frenzy 8 trigram palm and went straight for Pu Laolu. Boom. Boom. Bang. It was still a head-on collision. Lin Yi ended the battle by retreating. However, Lin Yi's mind was not on the result. Instead, he carefully observed Pu Lao's method of activating the heaven and earth splitting claw. Lin Yi didn't know the chant for sky splitting earth splitting claw, and there was no way he could ask for it. So, he could only imitate the activation method of sky splitting earth splitting claw, just like how he combined Fire Fist and 5-element 8 trigram palms, using Fire Fist chant and sky splitting earth splitting claws activation method to create a new technique. After landing, Lin Yi did not stand up immediately. Instead, he closed his eyes and repeatedly replayed the method of activating the heaven and earth splitting claw in his mind. Park Lao's movements were like a slow-motion movie, playing over and over again in Lin Yi's mind. Because of his previous experience of combining the Frenzy Fire 8 trigram palm and Mu Linsen 8 trigram palm, Lin Yi did not spend too much time combining the new martial arts technique. Moreover, the current situation did not allow him to waste too much time. Brat, are you still not going to give up? Park Laolu asked coldly. Oh. Lin Yi stood up slowly. When he was combining the heaven and earth splitting claw in his mind, Lin Yi's body was not idle. He had been using the second stage of the art of dragon mastery to heal his injuries. Therefore, Lin Yi's injuries were much better now. What? Park Laolu was stunned. He did not understand Lin Yi's meaning. It's the fifth form of the Frenzy Fire 8 trigram palm. Lin Yi used the mantra of the fifth form of the Frenzy Fire Fist and changed the method of activating the heaven and earth splitting claw. As for the Frenzy Fire 8 trigram palm, it was just to confuse Park Laolu. You're overestimating yourself. Pu Lao's eyes flashed with disdain at Lin Yi's move and he humphed coldly. He didn't attack Lin Yi, however, and just stood there helplessly. His meaning was clear. Fight if you want to, let's see what you can do about it. Park Laolu, be careful. Pu Huatiai's originally calm face suddenly revealed a trace of disbelief as he suddenly called out to Pu Laolu. Huh. Park Laolu was stunned, but it was too late. Lin Yi's heaven and earth splitting claw was already on Park Lao's chest. Pu Lao's arrogant face suddenly turned pale, and a look of disbelief flashed in his eyes. Then his face turned gloomy and his whole body flew backward, smashing into the wall of the private room with a loud bang. A deep pit was formed on the wall of the private room. Park Lao's injury was not light. From the blackish-purple blood that flowed out from the corner of his mouth, it was obvious that he had suffered a serious internal injury. Lin Yi wasn't too surprised. Although the heaven and earth splitting claw was successfully activated, its power was far less than the Frenzy Fire 8 trigram palm. It was only equivalent to the power of the fifth form of the normal Frenzy Fire Fist, which was the sixth form of a normal high-tier martial arts technique. This combination of martial arts did not bring about the effect of the 5 elements 8 trigram palm. However, it was within Lin Yi's expectations. After all, the power of the 5 elements 8 trigram palm was heaven-defying. Park Lao's heaven and earth splitting claw could not be said to be outstanding. It was only equivalent to the power of a normal high-tier martial arts technique. Therefore, the power of the combination of Frenzy Fire Fist and Heaven and Earth Splitting Claw was equivalent to the power of the sixth form of a normal martial arts technique. This was not out of Lin Yi's expectations. However, Park Lao stood there without any defense or attack and let Lin Yi hit him. This was out of Lin Yi's expectations. Isn't this guy a little too arrogant just to make me give up? Therefore, when Park Lao was caught off guard, Lin Yi's attack landed on his body. Even though it was only the sixth form, the Heaven and Earth Splitting Claw seemed to be a martial arts technique that was specifically used to counter Park Lao. The damage it brought was much greater than the Frenzy Fire 8 trigram palm. How is this possible? Park Lao coughed up 4 mouthfuls of blood before he stood up shakily. He could not believe what he saw. How can you activate the Heaven and Earth Splitting Claw? Who did you learn it from? Once Lin Yi finished speaking, he did not wait for Park Lao to regain his footing. He used the fifth form of the Heaven and Earth Splitting Claw again. This time, Park Lao saw Lin Yi's move clearly. Previously, he took it for granted that Lin Yi used the Frenzy Fire 8 trigram palm, so he did not guard against it at all. It was not until Park Huati reminded him that he realized something was wrong, but it was too late. But this time when Lin Yi made his move, he saw it clearly. It was the Heaven and Earth Splitting Claw. Although he did not know how Lin Yi learned it, the activation method and movement were exactly the same as his. Moreover, the claw had a red fire attribute True Qi, as if he was the one who activated it. Park Lao was shocked. Others did not know the extent of the damage that the Heaven and Earth Splitting Claw could do to him, but he knew. Even if Lin Yi activated the sixth form, the damage to him was still very great. Park Lao could be sure that if Lin Yi continued to activate it, he would not be able to last more than 5 moves. The Heaven and Earth Splitting Claw was his nemesis. As the saying goes, everything has its weakness. Chapter 2368. Aren't you teaching me? Once you activate it, I'll learn it. Lin Yi said lightly, thank you for activating it again. I'm even more proficient now. Go to hell. Bang. Bang. Lin Yi hit Park Lao and Park Lao hit Lin Yi. Although Park Lao's skill seemed to be stronger, the damage he suffered was no less than Lin Yi. Especially when he was caught off guard by the claw just now, it was a huge blow to his body. Moreover, Lin Yi's last sentence made Park Lao subconsciously reduce the power of the sky-splitting claw. He didn't want Lin Yi to learn it again. Now that it was very similar, wouldn't it kill him to learn it again? Both of them retreated. Lin Yi sat on the ground and Park Lao slammed into the wall again. Park Huati's brows furrowed even more. The way he looked at Lin Yi changed from the initial disdain to the current seriousness. Where did this person come from? Which faction is he from? He can actually imitate other people's skills? Isn't this too heaven-defying? I've never heard of someone with this kind of ability. Park Lao's eyes were filled with fear at this moment. He no longer had the arrogance from before, only bewilderment. He couldn't believe it. How is this possible? Lin Yi was actually beaten badly, but he didn't show the pain on his face. This was the so-called acting tough behavior of swallowing one's teeth after being beaten. But sometimes acting tough must be done. When the enemy is confused by you, you win. This is the highest level of acting tough. Lin Yi was recovering, Park Lao was bewildered, and Park Huati was frowning, thinking about the pros and cons. Park Huati originally thought that things should be easy to solve. Lin Yi retreating was the perfect solution, but the situation was completely different now. Lin Yi's 2 consecutive moves had injured Pu Lao quite badly. If they were to continue fighting, it was hard to say who would emerge victorious. It was very likely that both of them would perish together. But to let Pu Huati give up on Chen-Shi just like that, he was absolutely unwilling. It wouldn't be easy to find such a good cauldron if he gave it up. There were simply too few women with such an excellent physique who had been specially raised to be a human furnace from a young age. Pu Huati had seen many talented girls, but because they were past the age limit, they could no longer be cultivated into cultivation furnaces. This was also the reason why he didn't want to give up on Chen-Shi and chose to go against Lin Yi. Pu Lao finish him quickly. Even if you have to fight him head-on, you have to kill him. That girl is of great use to me. Pu Huati made his decision in an instant. Even if you die, you will die for the glory of the right Miao clan. Your ranking will be enshrined by the right Miao clan. I will also request for your son to be accepted as a disciple when he grows up. At the very least, his status will not be lower than mine. Pu Huati began to make empty promises to Pu Laolu. He had already given up on Pu Laolu. However, these words made Pu Laoyu's eyes light up. He had to admit that Pu Huati's promises moved him. He knew that if he and Pu Huati didn't hand over Qinshi today, Lin Yi wouldn't let the matter rest. But Pu Laolu also knew how important Qinshi was to Pu Huati, so he knew that the only way was to fight. Kid, you heard it too. If you know what's good for you, leave now and we'll live in peace. If you insist on sticking your neck out, then I'll fight to the death and drag you down with me. Pu Laolu took a deep breath and said to Lin Yi. Of course, he also hoped that Lin Yi would give up and leave. That way he wouldn't have to die in vain. Although he wasn't afraid of death for the sect, who would want to die if they could. Since I said I won't stop until one of us dies, let's continue. Lin Yi stood up and smiled at Pu Laolu. What if the one who dies in the end is you and not me? No. That's possible. Pu Ol 6 vehemently rejected the idea. I have to admit that your ability to steal and learn from me is impressive. But you can't deny the fact that you're just a mid-earth class. You're just a mid-earth class. It's impossible for a martial skill to unleash the power of the 11th move. If I'm not wrong, it should only be the 6th move. And I'm an earth class late phase peak master. My strength and endurance as well as the power of my martial skills are far greater. As for you, if we continue like this, you'll be the one to die first. Although I might also be heavily injured. Oh, what else do you have to say? Lin Yi listened and said faintly, if you're done, let's continue. At this point, Pu Laolu also knew that there was no way he could convince Lin Yi. He could only continue. Heaven-splitting fire claw 5th form. Lin Yi's injuries and stamina were almost fully recovered. He activated another heaven-splitting fire claw, going straight for Pu Laolu, catching him off guard. He didn't think that Lin Yi would attack just like that, but Pu Laolu was an earth-class late-phase peak master after all. His reflexes weren't weak either, and he quickly channeled his practitioner's chant. He didn't even use his qi to protect his body. Instead, he poured all of his qi into his technique, activating his strongest technique, sky-splitting claw 10th form. Bam! Bam! 2 loud sounds rang out. The two bodies collided and separated, flying in 2 different directions. Pu Laolu was severely injured. After spitting out a mouthful of blood, he panted heavily. Although he had boasted before, only he knew in his heart how much damage the sky-splitting claw had inflicted on him. This martial skill was the nemesis of his external martial arts. Not to mention the fact that Lin Yi had activated the 6th form. As long as he hadn't reached sky class, even the 1st form would be enough to kill him. Only when he reached sky class would the damage from the 10 forms of earth class martial skills be truly negligible. Unfortunately, he wasn't a sky class master. Of course, Lin Yi wasn't having a good time either. After spitting out a mouthful of black blood, he gritted his teeth and silently endured it. After landing on the ground, he desperately channeled the 2nd stage of the art of dragon mastery to heal himself. He didn't say anything harsh. He just used all the time he had to heal himself. This kind of feeling made Lin Yi a little scared. If Pu Laolu didn't give Lin Yi any time to recover, then Lin Yi would only be able to take a one-sided beating. Just like when he faced the 5th guardian, he could only... Chapter 2369. From his point of view, cultivators could only use medicinal pellets to heal themselves. Otherwise, how long would it take for them to recover on their own? His injuries couldn't be healed, so he could only adjust the chaotic qi in his body so that he could fight against Lin Yi with all his might. With that, Lin Yi was able to take advantage of the situation. Otherwise, he'd have to waste another net of heaven and earth to trap old 6. Then while he couldn't move, he would go to the private room to save Qinshi. As for Pu Huati, Lin Yi didn't put him in his heart. From Lin Yi's point of view, Pu Huati was just a cultivator with high defense. As for whether it was a spiritual or physical cultivator, Lin Yi wasn't sure. But he definitely didn't have a strong offensive ability. Otherwise, if he and Pu Laolu worked together, even if their offensive ability wasn't that strong, it would still be enough to hold him back. then Pu Laolu wouldn't be in such a miserable state. But from the looks of it, it wasn't that he didn't want to, but he really couldn't help. This person only had the ability to protect himself, but he didn't have any offensive ability. Frenzy Fire Sky Splitting Earth Claw 5th form. Lin Yi attacked once more after recovering, continuing to fight head-on with Pu Laolu. It wasn't the first time Lin Yi used this sort of head-on fighting style anyways, and he'd mastered the rhythm and technique a long time ago. The black-clothed assassin and the third head of the Red Conches had all died under Lin Yi's hands. Of course, this method of using a lower level to kill a higher level was only used by people like Lin Yi who had the art of dragon mastery. If it was someone else, they would have died already. But one had to admit that this method was tried and tested. Because the enemy wouldn't expect Lin Yi to be able to recover on his own, and at such a fast speed. Bang! Bang! Another two loud sounds. Pu Laolu felt that his internal organs had shifted. Even those that weren't shifted started to bleed. He looked at Lin Yi with a blurry gaze. He regretted telling Lin Yi about his nemesis martial art. But who would have thought that Lin Yi could learn it secretly? Before today, Park Laolu had never dreamed of this. Without the mantra, how could he learn a martial skill in secret? This could only be treated as a joke, but now it was real. Seeing that Lin Yi had vomited a mouthful of blood, Pu Laolu was secretly pleased. Sure enough, this brat's injuries should be more serious than his. He had already spat out 2 mouthfuls of black blood. His 5 viscera and 6 bowels had already been displaced, and Lin Yi would not be any better off. Park Laolu was even more determined to kill Lin Yi, although it was possible for him to do the same. His meridians were all damaged and his cultivation strength was crippled. However, if he could survive and return to the right Miao clan, he would be able to survive. Then sect leader Kuan would definitely let him cultivate Pu Huatiai's devil arts. This was because Pu Huatiai's devil technique was a different kind of cultivation method, which was to refine goo poison. It had nothing to do with normal cultivation. Even a disabled person could cultivate it. Thinking of this, Park Laoyo's eyes flashed with passion. Others might not know, but he knew that if Pu Huatiai's devil technique reached the advanced stage, he would be invulnerable. He would be no different from those who had reached the advanced stage of the Golden Bell Shield and Iron Shirt. Furthermore, he would not have any weak points. He would have to use the female blood to refine it regularly. This was a difficult matter, but it could be solved. In the future, Pu Huati would have the meat and he would have the soup. The effect would be slightly weaker, but it was better than nothing. Brat, I will kill you today even if I have to risk my life. Park Laolu stood up with confidence and looked at Lin Yi. If you want to die, then come at me. Let's see who has the last laugh. Lin Yi's injuries had mostly recovered. He responded indifferently and stood up. Although his expression was calm, Lin Yi's heart was beating like a drum. Park Laoyo's confidence seemed to have been boosted. This wasn't going to be easy to deal with. Taking a deep breath, Lin Yi decided to change his strategy. He changed the Frenzy Fire Sky Splitting Earth Claw to Mu Linsen Sky Splitting Earth Claw. Mu Linsen Sky Splitting Earth Claw's 5th form was equivalent to the 5th form of a normal high-class technique, but it was better in that he could use 5 forms at the same time. In the beginning, Lin Yi naturally chose Frenzy Fire Sky Splitting Earth Claw to Mu Linsen Sky Splitting Earth Claw. Although the 5th form of Mu Linsen Sky Splitting Earth Claw was equivalent to the 5th form of a normal high-class technique, it was better in that he could use 5 forms at the same time. It could be said that if Park Laolu wasn't injured, Frenzy Fire Sky Splitting Earth Claw would definitely deal more damage to him than Mu Linsen Sky Splitting Earth Claw. This was like an early phase Mystic Class Master. If he wasn't injured, then an early phase Golden Class Master would only be able to scratch his itch. If 5 early phase Golden Class Masters were to attack him, then it would be the same. Only a peak late phase Golden Class Master might be able to cause some damage to him. But if this early phase Mystic Class Master was injured, his defense would be greatly reduced. If a late phase Golden Class Master were to attack him, he would definitely be more heavily injured. But if 5 early phase Golden Class Masters were to attack him at once, then he might very well die. This was also the reason why Lin Yi chose Frenzy Fire Sky Splitting Earth Claw in the first place. But now that Park Laolu was injured, Lin Yi naturally switched to Mu Linsen Sky Splitting Earth Claw. Mu Linsen Sky Splitting Earth Claw, 5th form. Lin Yi yelled as he charged forward, channeling Mu Linsun's Thousand Illusions chant, using the sky-splitting earth claw's method of activation. He wanted to use the sky-splitting earth claw's strongest move. But just as Lin Yi was about to use it, Lin Yi was shocked to find that Mu Linsun's sky-splitting earth claw wasn't activated. Not to mention the fifth form, even the first form's power wasn't activated. In other words, Lin Yi used a useless move. Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat. He didn't know what was going on, but he didn't dare to try it again. Without a word, he changed his move and used the fifth form of Frenzy Fire Sky-Splitting Earth Claw at Pu Laolu. Luckily, Lin Yi's reaction was fast and he was already familiar with this move. There was a pause in the middle, but it didn't affect the overall situation. Old Six didn't understand why Lin Yi had yelled out Mu Linsun's Sky-Splitting Earth-Splitting Claw, but he didn't have the time to think about it. He took a deep breath and charged forward. Since he had chosen to fight to the end, he couldn't compromise no matter what. But the price of not compromising was very heavy. Proportion. Chapter 2370. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. After this fight, Pu Laolu was on the verge of collapsing. His legs were wobbly and he had vomited too much blood. He wanted to rest, but he heard Lin Yi say, again. Pu Laolu was speechless. He wanted to yell at Lin Yi, "Fuck, are you a cockroach? Can't you just rest for a bit? You're an Earth class mid-phase, why aren't you dead yet? Are you even an Earth class mid-phase?" In fact, Lin Yi had indeed rested for a while. He needed to heal his wounds. But this period of time seemed long to Lin Yi, but to Pu Laolu it was very short. His wounds were getting worse and worse, and Lin Yi's wounds were getting worse and worse, but he was still able to hold on. Of course, Lin Yi could tell that if this went on he would be done for. But before he was done for, Pu Laolu would be done for. As long as he was done for, Lin Yi could rest in peace and heal his wounds. Left with no choice, Pu Laolu could only attack again. But he was already at his limit. He knew that this would be his last attack. If he got hit by Lin Yi again he wouldn't be able to live. And so he used up all the chi in his body wanting to give Lin Yi a killing blow. Sky-Splitting Earth Claw, 10th form. Sky-Splitting Claw, 5th form. Lin Yi really wanted to use the 5th form of Mu Linsun's Sky-Splitting Earth-Splitting Claw, but it had failed. So Lin Yi didn't dare to try again. What if he failed again? Right now Lin Yi had lost the confidence he had in his omnipotent martial skill. After all, he had failed to use Spring Rain before. It wasn't surprising that Mu Linsun's Sky-Splitting Claw would fail. But Lin Yi was a little puzzled. He couldn't figure out the reason. Bam. Bam. This attack was indeed fatal to Lin Yi. Lin Yi was injured again. Even though he was healing, he couldn't keep up with his injuries. After being sent flying by Pu Laolu, he landed heavily on the ground. He didn't even have the strength to get up. The reason why Lin Yi was able to fight again was because of his will. That was the only reason why he was able to hold on until now. But Lin Yi smiled. Park Laoyo's situation wasn't looking good. Lin Yi was a doctor, and he could easily tell that Park Laoyo's life was slipping away. He was going to die soon. So, Lin Yi started to use the art of dragon mastery to heal himself. He didn't even have the strength to sit up. Pu Huati looked at Pu Laoyo's body. A complicated look flashed in his eyes. Even though he didn't care about a bodyguard like Pu Laolu, he was someone who had followed him for a long time. This time he killed Lin Yi. He had to leave. He couldn't fight Zhu Qishou anymore. He was afraid that the power behind Lin Yi would come looking for him. Thinking of this, Pu Huati quickly walked into the private room. He picked up the unconscious Chen Shi and quickly walked out of the private room. He didn't even want Pu Laoyo's body. A dead person was like a lamp going out. To him, death was death. When he went back, he would advise his father and master to take good care of his son. That would be enough to make up for this debt. Even though Lin Yi was lying on the ground in the space of the jade pendant to heal himself, he could still sense what was happening outside. Seeing that Pu Huati didn't forget to take Chen Shi away at this time, he was shocked and angry. Originally, Lin Yi thought that after he killed Pu Laolu, Pu Huati would definitely choose to retreat and leave with Pu Laoyo's body. But Lin Yi didn't expect that this guy didn't even want Pu Laoyo's body. God, he took Chen Shi away. This was unbelievable to Lin Yi. This guy can't be this lecherous, can he? In this situation he still didn't forget to take Qinshi away. What kind of person is this? However, even if Lin Yi wanted to stop him, his injuries were too severe. He couldn't get up at all. Moreover, even if Lin Yi stood up, he might not be able to stop him because Pu Huati was simply invulnerable. If Lin Yi wanted to deal with him, it would be more difficult than Pu Laolu. Pu Laolu Lin Yi could use the mad fire earth-splitting claw to deal with him, but Pu Huati was different. This guy wasn't afraid of being hit. Even if Lin Yi hit him, it would be useless. Seeing that Pu Huati was about to walk out of the room, Lin Yi suddenly became anxious. He didn't care about his injuries anymore. He climbed up from the ground and shouted at Pu Huati, "Stop!" Pu Huati was shocked by Lin Yi's roar. Previously he thought that Lin Yi and Pu Laolu should have perished together. After all, both of them were lying on the ground motionless. Pu Huati subconsciously thought that both of them were dead. How could he have thought that Lin Yi came back to life and stood up again? "You didn't die?" Pu Huati was shocked. He turned his head and looked at Lin Yi, who was trembling as he stood up. Pu Huati then smiled, "You're just a strong arrow. What can you do to me? Although you should have guessed that I don't have any offensive martial skills, you absolutely can't stop me from leaving. Because my defense is very strong. You can't kill me. You didn't die. That's not bad. I'll leave first. See you again." In Pu Huati's view, if Lin Yi didn't die, then the sect behind Lin Yi wouldn't be too angry. He also knew that these big sects in China had some top-quality third-grade dawn. As long as there were dawn, he believed that Lin Yi's recovery was only a matter of time. The sect behind him wouldn't travel all the way to Southeast Asia to find trouble with him. Although Lin Yi was unwilling, he had no choice but to admit that what Pu Huati said was the truth, because at this moment he really could not win against Pu Huati. This person was invulnerable, just like those external martial artists who practiced the golden bell cover and iron skin shirt. If Lin Yi wanted to make him stay, it was impossible without a true qi bomb. However, in Lin Yi's current state, it was already very difficult for him to heal his wounds. How could there be a true qi bomb to deal with him? Therefore Lin Yi was helpless and anxious, but there was nothing he could do. His injuries hadn't healed yet, so he had to brace himself and fight. Frenzied Flame Heaven Splitting Earth Splitting Claw. 5th move. Lin Yi didn't know if the Frenzy Fire Heaven Splitting Earth Claw would be effective against Pu Huati, but he knew that the 5th form of the Frenzy Fire 8 trigrams palm didn't cause any damage to Pu Huati, so he could only try the Frenzy Fire Heaven Splitting Earth Claw. Humph. When Pu Huati saw that Lin Yi still dared to attack, he was instantly angered. He frowned and activated some unknown cultivation technique. You won't repent until you see the coffin. The fastest update, please bookmark. Chapter 2371. Bam. Lin Yi sensed that something was amiss as Pu Huati seemed to be using some unknown practitioner's arts, but it didn't look like one either. It was like he was activating something and his skin glowed with a metallic light. Lin Yi's heaven-splitting earth-splitting claw hit Pu Huati's body, but it was as if he'd hit a piece of metal. The recoil was so painful that Lin Yi's claw felt like it was about to break. Plus, he'd used up every last bit of strength he had in that claw attack, and it hadn't hurt Pu Huati in the slightest. Lin Yi couldn't stop Pu Huati from leaving anymore. Lin Yi's head was spinning and he was about to faint from being forced into the jade space. But at that moment the door was pushed open and Elder Pai came charging in with Pai Jishan, Pai Jihai, Wu Chintian and Wu Gonggao. "Leave him," Lin Yi said as he looked at the 5 people who had barged into the room. His heart was filled with comfort as he fainted. Elder Pai, Pai Jishan, Pai Jihai, Wu Chintian, and Wu Gonggao were shocked when they saw Lin Yi faint. But they didn't go check on Lin Yi's injuries, instead activating their strongest skills at the same time, attacking Pu Huati. 11th form of Heaven and Earth Fist. Elder Pai roared, sending a punch at Pu Huati. 1st form of Heaven and Earth Fist. Jishan, Chintian, and Gonggao all used the 1st form of Heaven and Earth Fist they'd been practicing for the past 2 days. 2nd form of Heaven and Earth Fist. Jihai, on the other hand, could use the 2nd form of Heaven and Earth Fist. They used their strongest moves right from the get-go and they saw that Lin Yi had fainted. Naturally, they wouldn't hold back anymore. Lin Yi's order was to keep this guy here, so they had to go all out. Pu Huati didn't expect that Lin Yi's helpers would come, and there were even 5 of them. However, he wasn't nervous. He didn't believe that ordinary cultivators could do anything to him, so he continued to activate the demonic goo poison, making his body invulnerable. Bang! 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 After 5 loud bangs, Pu Huati was met with tragedy. His head was broken, his chest was flattened, and there was not a single intact bone in his body. The strongest external attacker. Pu Huati finally realized that his death was not unjust. The 5 people who came in later were all physical experts. Moreover, they were all trained physical experts. Their attack power was extremely strong, and coupled with their godly martial skills, it was not an injustice to kill him. Although he trained in demonic arts and had the goo poison on him, he hadn't mastered it yet. Right now, normal sky class early to mid-phase spiritual practitioners couldn't do anything to him, but that didn't mean that these physical practitioners were useless against him. Spiritual practitioners used chi to hurt the enemy, and physical practitioners used the body to hurt the enemy. The two seemed to have similar destructive power, but spiritual chi couldn't penetrate Pu Huati's body. Iron fists, on the other hand, were different. This was what they meant by "there's always a counter to another." Even one of them was enough to injure him. Not to mention 5 at the same time, this was simply an instant kill. But before he died, he just couldn't figure out why 5 refined external martial arts experts had suddenly appeared. After killing Pu Huati, Pai Jishan and Pai Jihai quickly ran to Lin Yi. "Boss, how are you?" "Boss should be fine." Qintian knew Lin Yi quite well, and he knew that Lin Yi could recover on his own, so he was quite shocked. He waved his hand at the two. "Don't worry, just wait patiently and guard this place. Don't let anyone disturb us." Pai Jishan and Pai Jihai replied. "Qintian, my friend, this body. There's another body over there." Elder Pai paused, only realizing that there was another body in the room. No wonder Lin Yi was so heavily injured. He was thinking that there was nothing special about killing that person, just a few people working together to kill him in one hit. Lin Yi shouldn't be so heavily injured. It seemed like Lin Yi had gotten injured while fighting with the others. "Don't worry about it for now." Qintian waved his hand as he looked at Qinxi on the ground. She couldn't be his sister-in-law, could she? She looked a little young, like a high schooler. But Qintian didn't dare tarry. He carefully lifted Qinxi and put her on the sofa, untying her hands and feet. Old Pai and Old Wu nodded. They were older, but they still followed Qintian's orders. After all, Qintian had been with Lin Yi for the longest time. "All right, then what should we?" Elder Pai asked. "Go find the boss here and ask him what's going on." Qintian knew that he couldn't disturb Lin Yi, but if something happened to Lin Yi, the boss would definitely be blamed. He might even know what happened, so the best thing to do was to ask him what happened. "All right, I'll do it." Elder Pai nodded. His admiration for Lin Yi was unparalleled. At first he served Lin Yi because Lin Yi helped Pai Jihai heal. But now, after seeing Lin Yi's power, especially after Lin Yi leveled him up to a master of both internal and external cultivation, his gratitude towards Lin Yi turned into admiration and worship. The world of cultivation was a world where the strong ruled. Elder Pai knew this, especially after seeing the potential and strength that Lin Yi had shown. He knew that if he followed Lin Yi closely, the hidden house Pai's path would not only stop at the hidden noble house level, they might even become an ancient noble house. As long as he, Pai Jishan and Pai Jihai all became heaven rank masters who cultivated both internal and external cultivation, the Holy Fist Palace would be the first to support them and support House Pai to become an ancient aristocratic family in the ancient level meeting. Then Old Master Pai stood up and walked out of the room. There was no one around the room, but at the end of the corridor, there was a waiter who was looking at the situation with shifty eyes. "You come here." Old Pai pointed at the waiter. Excuse me, sir, what can I do for you?" The waiter was startled and asked carefully in a panic. "Where's your boss?" Old Pai asked. "Our boss." "Excuse me, what can I do for you?" The waiter asked in a trembling voice. "Tell him to appear in front of me in 1 minute or else I'll smash his place." Old Man Pai was the head of a family. He was usually very dignified, but now that he was Lin Yi's subordinate, he naturally became an arrogant little brother. The fastest update, please bookmark. Chapter 2372. Please wait. The waiter saw Elder Pie walk out of the Sky Room 1, and Gambling Bro had specifically asked him to check the room carefully and report back if anything happened. The waiter didn't dare to delay, so he relayed Elder Pie's request to Gambling Bro. Boss, someone wants to see you. The person who came out of the Sky Room 1. He said that if you don't show up in a minute, he'll destroy our place. Oh. Gamble Bro frowned, displeased at the arrogance of the newcomer. But thinking back to the Earth-class strength that Lin Yi and Pu Laolu had displayed in the room, he knew that he, a mere Golden-class late-phase peak, was no match for them at all. He couldn't fight against the person who came out of the room, whether it was Lin Yi or Pu Laolu. He thought about it and said, "Okay, I'll go now." Within a minute, Gambling Bro appeared in front of Elder Pie. "I'm the boss here, people call me Gambling Bro. Who's looking for me?" Gambling Bro looked around, but he didn't see Lin Yi, Pu Laolu and Pu Huati. He wasn't that scared anymore, so he looked at Elder Pie and said calmly, "What's going on in that room?" Elder Pie pointed at the Sky Room 1 not far away. "Who are you?" Gambling Bro asked. "You're not going to tell me?" Old Man Pie furrowed his brows, a little annoyed. This boss didn't know how to appreciate favors. He casually clenched his fist, and with a punch, a bronze statue in the hallway was smashed into pieces. This was the most effective way. Old Pie didn't know that Gambling Bro was a practitioner, so he didn't bother to explain anything about Sky-class masters or hidden houses. From Old Pie's point of view, Gambling Bro didn't know much about these higher-level things. He was just a casino owner who had a good reputation in the underworld. So Old Man Pie smashed the statue with one punch to shock Bro Gamble. But Gamble Bro's eyes showed shock. He was a cultivator, and although he was only at the peak late phase of Golden Class, he could see the depth of Old Pie's strength. Old Pie was a Sky Class early phase master. This made Gambling Bro's legs go soft and he almost knelt down. "Senior, I had eyes but failed to recognize MT Tai. So Senior is a heaven rank initial phase expert. If you have anything to say, please don't hesitate to tell me. I, Gambling Bro, will tell you everything I know." Humph. Old Pie snorted, a little surprised. "You're a cultivator too?" "I'm just a master at the peak of the late phase of the Golden Class." Gambling Bro cupped his fist and said carefully. "Well then come with me. Tell me clearly what happened in this box." Old Man Pie heard that Gambling Bro was also a cultivator. It saved him a lot of trouble. At least he didn't have to threaten him, he would cooperate obediently. Yes. Gambling Bro didn't dare to delay at all. He nodded, but he was shocked. His little casino had such a master? Sky Class. That was a legendary existence, and he didn't expect to see one with his own eyes. Gambling Bro followed Old Pie back to the box, and what he saw shocked him. Pu Huati was dead, Pu Laolu was dead, and Lin Yi seemed to be dead as well. Which side were these people from? Could it be the Hidden House Zhao? That's right. I heard that the Hidden Zhao family's old master Zhao is a heaven rank expert. Seems like the 5 people in front of me are from a third party. Gambling Brother heaved a sigh of relief and probed. "Senior, is the Hidden Zhao family's old master Zhao? You know about the Hidden House Zhao?" Old Pie frowned. "I'm not from House Zhao. Don't try to use connections. Tell me everything you know." "This? Yes." Brother Gamble was slightly taken aback. From the looks of it, this person in front of him really wasn't from the Hidden Zhao family. Moreover, from his tone, he didn't seem to be very respectful towards the Hidden Zhao family. Hence, he didn't dare to have any more suspicions and hurriedly explained everything that had happened here. Actually, this had nothing to do with him. He invited Southeast Asia's king of gambling, Pu Huati, to fight Hong Kong's king of gambling, Zhu Qishou. The reason was very simple. In the past, Zhu Qishou had come to the casino to wreak havoc, causing Gambling Bro to suffer heavy losses. Zhu Qishou had killed all the consultants in Gambling Bro's casino, causing him to suffer a crushing defeat. Therefore, Gambling Bro was unwilling to accept this outcome. Coincidentally, he heard of Park Huati's name and invited him to challenge Zhu Qishou. Pu Huati wanted to win the girl's virginity through gambling, and Gambling Bro wanted to revive the casino's reputation, and also to rub down Zhu Qishou's spirit. So the two of them hit it off. But in the end, the two of them were in a cooperative relationship and there was no other relationship. Pu Huati's opponent this time was the Hidden House Zhao, and the Hidden House Zhao's people seemed to want to lose to Pu Huati on purpose. They made Qin Shi lose to Pu Huati. Not only that, but they also asked Gambling Bro to inform the security on the first and second floor, so that Lin Yi could come over smoothly. Anyway, Gambling Bro didn't dare to hide anything. The person in front of him was a heaven-class master. He even dared to betray the hidden house Xiao, so he didn't dare to lie. He was a practitioner at the lowest level. If Old Pai wanted to kill him, it would be as easy as flipping his hand. You mean the hidden house Xiao wanted to make this girl lose to Pu Huati on purpose, and then lure Mr. Lin here to save her? Old Pai understood what Gambling Bro meant. It should be like this, Gambling Bro said carefully. I understand. But you can leave first. There's nothing for you to do here. Old Pai waved his hand and said to Gambling Bro. This matter really didn't have much to do with Gambling Bro, so Old Pai wouldn't vent his anger on him. He was just a small character. The hidden house Xiao was behind all of this. Everything would have to wait for Lin Yi to wake up, and then let Lin Yi make the decision. Okay, senior, if there's anything you can find me anytime. Gambling Bro said carefully. Okay. Old Pai snorted and no longer cared about Gambling Bro. In his eyes, this kind of person was just an ant. He directly kicked him out so that he wouldn't disturb Lin Yi's recovery. Although Lin Yi seemed to be unconscious, he was actually healing inside the space of the jade pendant. He could still clearly sense everything that happened outside. Hearing the conversation between Old Pai and Gambling Bro, Lin Yi's hatred towards the hidden house Xiao increased a bit. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.